All modes of transportation invoked for an early day game. It's a noontime start, and the Mets are making their way to the ballpark, getting ready for a road trip, but first getting ready to finish their series with Atlanta. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Atlanta Braves. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody. Just past noon. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets wrap up their 4-game series against the Atlanta Braves. Last night, an 8-2 Atlanta win, punctuated by a horrific injury to the Atlanta pitcher, Tim Hudson. He suffered a fractured ankle. He'll have surgery in a few days. Attention turns today to Zach Wheeler, who makes the start against his hometown team. He made his major league debut against the Braves, and Wheeler came out with 6 shutout innings against Atlanta that first time out, now faces them at Citi Field.
Well, you know, it's going to be interesting about watching Zach Wheeler this afternoon is just, you know, it's the second time he's going to face the Braves. How much has he learned about them? How much have they learned about how he pitches?
During the game last night, Kevin Burkhardt talked to Zach Wheeler about the transition to the major leagues and asked him what the most difficult thing is about pitching in the majors compared to the minors.
I think it's the slider. You know, in AAA, you could start it on the outside corner and you know it's going to be a ball. And, you know, it ends up out of the zone, like I just said, and they'll swing at it every time. But up here, you know, if it starts on that side corner and they see that spin, they're not even going to bite at it. So, you know, you got to start figuring out little stuff like that, release points and stuff, you know, start to slide it a little bit more in the plate and let it fall off.
It sounds like something so simple, but is that harder than it sounds to actually readjust that and just know that you got to be more precise with that pitch?
Yeah, it's definitely harder than people think, I think. I mean, you know, that's what you work on between outings. You know, just throwing in the outfield every day and stuff like that, and you know, just working on little stuff to get better.
And that's fascinating, right, to somebody who doesn't pitch, that moving that slider a few inches one way or another can be such a difficult task sometimes.
Yeah, that's the most difficult part, because when you're a young pitcher, all you really want to do is make it break. And if it breaks well, you think it's going to be enough. But what he's going to learn, lesson B, after this, well, how much he can bite off that plate. Early in the count, you'll be able to throw it over the strike zone. Once you get ahead, use it to your advantage and bend it out of the strike zone. Once he gets these lessons, he'll get better and better.
So as Zach Wheeler makes his 7th major league start today, the pitcher for the Braves, Alex Wood, makes just his 2nd career start. His first one came against the Mets.
On that doubleheader on June 18th, Alex Wood has some unusual mechanics. It's one of the reasons that he was drafted later in the draft in 2012. But he's a Georgia Bulldog, and he's a Bulldog on the mound also.
So a couple of rookies going head-to-head for an early afternoon game with plenty of kids on hand on a camp day at Citi Field. It's the Mets and Braves as the Mets wrap up their homestand. All the action coming your way this afternoon on SNY. it's not worth building. By the Atlantic City Food and Wine Festival, a 4-day extravaganza now through Sunday. Tickets are available at acfoodandwine.com. By Geico. By AT&T, rethink possible. And by Extended Stay America, the best hotel value by the day, week, or month. Book now, extendedstayamerica.com. That kid is getting some awesome swings. Run the bases at Citi Field Sunday, August 4th, following the afternoon game against the Royals with the Mr. Met Dash for all kids 12 and under, presented by Banana Boat. For tickets, visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule presented by Y Snacks. You can listen to all Mets games on Sports Radio 66 and Sports Radio 101.9 FM WFAN. Mets return to Citi Field a week from tomorrow night to play those Kansas City Royals in between an 8-game road trip that starts tomorrow with a day-night doubleheader in Washington with Henry Mejia pitching the day game and Matt Harvey pitching the night game. Alex Wood making his way in from the bullpen for the Braves, and Zach Wheeler getting ready for the start. He'll be ready to throw the first pitch when we come back in just a moment. Who puts Reed Johnson in center field, gives Jason Hayward a day off today. Gerald Laird behind the plate. Brian McCann sits on the bench for the first time in this series. So a mostly right-hand hitting lineup against Zach Wheeler this afternoon. Zach Wheeler getting ready for his 7th major league start.
No, he was in line for the win in his last start. Could not get through the 5th inning because of the pitch count. We'll try to be more economical this afternoon.
Leadoff batters in innings have been huge concerns for Wheeler. Leadoff batters in innings are getting on base at a .529 clip. Andrelton Simmons has already led off a game with a home run in this series. Hit another home run last night.
4 in his last 7 games to get to the 11 total you see there.
The last game that Wheeler pitched, Jimmy Rollins led off the game with a home run. Wheeler pitched pretty well after that, had to kind of slog his way through a ton of base runners, and so threw too many pitches to be able to go 5 innings and qualify for a win. And the breaking ball misses to Simmons, 2 balls and a strike. Wheeler went 4 2/3 against the Phillies, allowed 2 runs and 7 hits, a game the Mets eventually won, with Gonzalez Herman getting the win in relief. 2-1 coming to Simmons, and the fastball chopped to the left side. Justin Turner getting the start at shortstop, his first start since the middle of June, and he handles the first chance cleanly for the first out of the game.
And you know that ball's going to fly. And center fielder Juan Lagares now has taken over the lead in outfield assists by throwing Hayward out twice in this series. Turner talked about his first start since June, a 4th start at shortstop. And John Buck behind the plate, we saw Satin at first. John Buck behind the plate, thrown out 33% of the would-be base stealers.
Here's Reed Johnson, who has pinch hit in every game of this series. Gone 1 for 3 at the game-winning hit on Monday night in the first game of the series. Braves won Monday night. The Mets behind Carlos Torres won Tuesday night, and then the Braves with a barrage of 3 home runs won easily last night. Johnson hitting at .250. He's at 108 at bats, 36 years old. Interesting that Freddie Gonzalez would sit 2 of his prime left-hand hitters against Zach Wheeler today and play a predominantly right-hand batting lineup.
Especially since he had the same lineup in every day, but maybe because of the 12 o'clock start.
And Johnson late on that fastball, 2-1. By the way, the Braves today placed Tim Hudson on the disabled list. They were supposed to place Paul Maholm on the disabled list to make room for Alex Wood, who makes the start today, but Maholm is still technically active, and Hudson, who will have surgery on that ankle, goes on the DL. Now Wheeler falls behind on Johnson, 3-1.
There's been some talk now about the Chicago White Sox. Look like they're trying to sell everyone on their ball club. Jake Peavy might be a nice fit for these Braves. He's from Alabama. Followed the Braves as a kid.
Johnson ahead of that fastball, fouls it off. Now the Braves do have a starter in waiting who will take Hudson's spot, and that's Brandon Beachy, who's coming back from Tommy John surgery and in fact was a candidate to make this start today, but Beachy will slot into Hudson's spot the next time it comes up.
They've got the arms. That's what makes them such a superior organization, but I think what they're looking for is that the matchup. Tim Hudson was going to be one of your matchup against the other kind of 1 or 1A ace of the other team. If you're in the playoffs, they need that guy, and Peavy would provide that.
Well, that's the thing. They've got a lot of quality in their rotation. Here's the 3-2 to Johnson, and it's pulled over the bag, a fair ball going down the line. Johnson heads for second as Young digs it out of the corner, and Reed Johnson on base with a 1-out double.
Well, just a breaking ball that stays on the inside part. David playing off the line, no chance to make that play. And Reed Johnson, every day he plays against the Mets, seems to do something to hurt him.
So a runner in scoring position for Justin Upton, who snapped an 0 for 17 his last time up last night with an RBI single against Scott Atchison in the 9th inning. And takes a fastball for a strike. I was going to say that the one thing that the Braves lack is an ace at the top of their rotation. In many ways, if you look at the Mets pitching staff and the Braves pitching staff, the Mets would be better positioned in some ways for a 5-game playoff series than the Braves would.
That's right. Well, they've got that legitimate number 1 in Harvey.
Well, got that ball inside on Upton, and he fouls it off.
I was talking to Buck Showalter. His Orioles, of course, are playing great this year. He said, I look at my team, though. I've got 4 or 5 number 3, 4 starters. No one who, even though despite some of the great records like Chris Tillman, a guy that can go shut down another team. He's the hardest Wheeler's thrown so far since he's been with the Mets, his 7th start. He is pumped up.
Freddie Freeman waits on deck. Wheeler battled through a little bit of a blister late in his start against the Phillies on Saturday. So it developed as the game went along. More of a blood blister on the side of his finger. But that has pretty much dissipated. And that's something, blisters in some form or fashion, that has plagued Zach off and on throughout his professional career.
It tends to plague the power pitcher too, because that ball comes off at a little different speed off the fingertips. So both Harvey and Wheeler have gone through a little blister problems this summer.
Now the 1-2. Got him with a fastball. Wheeler blew it by Justin Upton. His first strikeout.
Well, this is where he is electric. When he gets ahead and can throw that fastball up and in the strike zone, you can see a good hitter like Upton, no chance to get around, and see how he had to pull his hands in, just ties him completely up. Nice release. He's more of a two-seam pitcher, and that ball's going to run in on the right-hander. Nice pitch.
So 2 out in the inning. Johnson still at second, and now Freeman, the only left-handed bat in the lineup today for Freddie Gonzalez. Freeman just 1 for 11 in this series, hitting at .303 for the year. 64 runs batted in. That's 7th in the league. And the fastball low and away for ball 1. Freeman hitting an absurd .425 with runners in scoring position this year. Somehow that is not leading the league. It's second to Alan Craig, who is at an even more ungodly .485.
Say it had to be someone from the Cardinals. Do you see what their numbers are with runners in scoring position as a team? .337.
How do you sustain that for 4 months?
I don't get it. 280 is a great number.
But you see what Wheeler has done conversely with runners in scoring position, as good as anybody in the game since he arrived in the big leagues, at stifling a threat. Behind on Freeman, 2-0. And Freddie gets tied up, but the slider missed low and inside. 3-0. Evan Gattis is the on-deck batter.
Interesting choice of pitches there. You know, John Buck is running this ball game. Opts to try to trick Freeman there on the 2-0 pitch. 3-0. Let it go. I think it's really hard for a hitter with Zach Wheeler, not a lot of knowledge on him, to be swinging 3-0. He's just so unpredictable where that fastball could end up.
And he takes it outside, ball 4. And so the Braves have 2 men on. But again, as we said, the only left-handed bat in the lineup. It may be game planning this game. Buck and Wheeler and Dan Warthen figured, hey, Freeman's the guy we can't let beat us.
And you know, Freeman hasn't done a lot in this series, and it's been the other guys, the Gattises, the Simmons, the Uglas.
Well, Gattis hit a second deck home run last night to give the Braves the early lead. His 15th of the year. 15 homers, 39 RBIs, lead all major league rookies. He's 5 for 12 in this series. And a chance to do some early damage here with 2 out and 2 on. Wheeler up to 20 pitches already in the first inning, and this is the ongoing concern. The inability to have quick innings that prolong his outings. And it was one of the fears that Terry Collins had going into the game last night, with Jeremy Hefner winding up only going 4 1/3, that he would stretch his bullpen because he didn't know how many innings he could get out of Wheeler, because Zach has had such long innings.
Really picked up by Gonzalez Herman last night. 2 2/3 innings of outstanding baseball in relief.
Reed Johnson at second, Freeman at first, and Gattis takes it high, and now Wheeler's behind 2-0. It was 5 weeks ago that Zach made his major league debut in his hometown in Atlanta. And despite the nerves and despite falling behind frequently in that opening inning, was able to persevere and wound up throwing 6 shutout innings that day. Walked 5 but struck out 7 in that first game. He's thrown the last 6 out of the strike zone. And Gattis pulls the trigger. 2-1.
Thank you very much. But again, like I said, up in the strike zone is where he's got tremendous life, and that probably looked very hittable halfway to the plate, but by Gattis.
Well, we've said it throughout this series with Gattis. You really don't have to throw him strikes.
He's aggressive. You know, he wants to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
There's a good slider by Wheeler to get even 2-2.
Well, that might be his best slider he's thrown in his 7 starts. 2-1, looking for the fastball. Late movement on that slider.
That's what he was talking about with Kevin, right? Not throwing it to the edge of the plate where it breaks off, but throw it more toward the middle of the plate and have it break away.
Nothing worse than a get-me-over slider. He let that one go. Back to the fastball up. Don't mess around.
2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to Evan Gattis. Curveball gets away from Buck on strike 3, slides after it, makes the throw and hits the runner. Coming in to score is Johnson, and going all the way to third is Freeman. That ball came up and hit Josh Satin in the face. The Braves get a run. It's a strikeout on a curveball in the dirt, and Gattis reaches safely. And now the trainer will come out to see if Satin is okay.
One thing, we've seen it happen too often. The backhand by Buck leads to the ball getting away. It's a throw that he should not have made down to first base, and it hit Gattis on the heel, came up and caromed off the face of Satin. The backhand allows it to get away. Once he gets out here on his knees, that's too long of a throw. Hold the baseball. Instead, he throws it, and it cost the Mets a run.
By the way, Reed Johnson never stopped coming around third base. As Buck was making that throw, Johnson was turning third, and he never stopped.
This is about to be a play. If you call a breaking ball with 2 strikes, you've got to be ready to block it. He was not.
So it's a strikeout, a wild pitch, and then an error charged to Buck, allowing the run to score and allowing Johnson to go to third. And another one in the dirt, and Freeman halfway down the line opts to go back.
Now on this slider, this is perfect for him. Gets down, gloves turn the right way, takes it off the right bicep, keeps it close enough that Freeman's got to stay on third. That's more of the kind of position you would like to have seen him a pitch prior.
Here's the 1-0, and Uggla fouls it back, 1-1. Uggla had the biggest hit for the Braves last night, a 3-run homer off Jeremy Hefner en route to an 8-2 victory. His 20th home run of the year. 7 times now in his 8 major league seasons, Uggla has reached 20. The only year he didn't was last year, and he hit 19. He's had a good series with the bat, and he lays off 2 balls and a strike. Uggla 4 for 10 in the first 3 games of the series. He's pushed his batting average up over 200 for the year. Tries to lay off. Did he go? He went around. 2-2.
You can't throw that slider in the zone. Whenever I think of Dan Uggla and those powerful forearms, I think of slider speed bat.
This will be the 30th pitch of the inning from Wheeler, and Uggla has to duck. Full count.
Interesting, a little look out to the pitcher by Uggla. If I were pitching, I would say, what are you looking at? Just get back in the box. That would not take that. That's...
Well, Uggla's already been hit in this series on a couple of occasions, and he goes down swinging on the slider to end the inning. So 3 strikeouts in the inning for Wheeler, but one of them results in a wild pitch, an error, and a run. And the Braves take a 1-0 lead in the first. Juan Lagares in there in center field against the left-hander. Justin Turner gets his first start since June the 15th, coming back from a month on the disabled list. Josh Satin at first base has already been woken up on that deflected ball into his face. He's okay.
Well, they like this young man, Alex Wood. I said he's a second-round pick out of the University of Georgia. You see his numbers so far. They did with him what they did with Chris Medlin last year. They had him in the bullpen. He made that spot start against the Mets. They sent him back to AAA to kind of lengthen him out so he'd be ready to make a start when they needed him. They need him now.
Eric Young leads off for the Mets. It was a very emotional night for Eric last night. Of course, it was he who inadvertently stepped on the ankle of Tim Hudson, breaking Hudson's ankle, and EY was distraught about it during the game and even well after the game. And he takes a curveball for a strike from Wood. The thing about Hudson is that, and we said it last night, I'm not sure if we said it as eloquently as we should have, he is one of the most respected players in all of baseball. And I think you saw in the reaction of not just Eric Young, but everybody else on both teams when Hudson went down last night.
He's class personified on that Atlanta Braves team. Usually when you lose a starter, it's bad enough, but he's a leader. And very few starting pitchers are leaders on a ball club. It just doesn't happen because you pitch every fifth day. But Hudson is an elite class. He's going to fly back with his teammates tonight and will be operated on in Atlanta once the swelling goes down.
Wood strikes out Young with the fastball for the first out. Well, Eric Young, as we said, was predictably upset about what happened last night.
A little bummed right now, but I was able to see Tim before they take him to the hospital. He told me it wasn't my fault, just one of those freak plays that happens. Before it was in the middle of the bag, and I was just hustling like I normally do, and couldn't avoid him. So you never want to injure anybody. You always want to put your best foot forward. Just one of those things that happen, and I just hope he has a speedy recovery. Getting back out there doing what he does. I mean, he pitched a great game tonight. Hopefully he can get back out there and doing what he loves.
Well, I think in last night we saw two things. One, how classy Eric Young was. He was distraught, but he also showed a lot of class in trying to console Tim Hudson, who in return, while he had a broken ankle, was trying to console Eric Young on the field. And I guess that really illustrates what Tim Hudson's all about.
It really tells you everything you need to know about both guys. 2-1 to Daniel Murphy, who had a pair of doubles last night, and Wood blows one by him. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wood's fastball being clocked at 91 with that very deceptive motion. It looks faster than that.
I described it the last time he pitched against the Mets. He's got a little bit of a Chris Sale light, who the Mets faced against Chicago White Sox, their best pitcher.
And he strikes out Murphy, so back-to-back strikeouts for Wood to start his afternoon.
Well, this ball's supposed to be inside, but he throws the ball about as hard as anyone. And one of the Braves fans,
Sister Brave,
a nun.
Well, here's David Wright, who also drew some attention last night for an unusual, what appeared to be an injury. It turned out to be less than that, but a circumstance where his bat broke and smacked him in the back of the head, and the Mets were very concerned for a few moments. Drives one to left field, and that'll fall for a base hit in front of Gaddis. And so the Mets have their first base runner.
What Terry Collins said about it, I thought was pretty interesting. The bat broke, came around and smacked him in the back of the head. Terry Collins said, I don't know if anyone of you guys have played football out there, it was like he got dinged for a second. It was kind of a little out of it for 30 seconds, but then kind of came to, and he passed all their tests afterwards.
Yeah, they checked him for a concussion, which of course has become protocol for everybody these days, and stayed in the game and felt well enough to play this morning. A little bit sore, but all right. So the Mets have a 2-out base runner for Marlon Byrd. He's 3 for 11 in this series. Bird tied for 8th in the league with those 17 home runs, 8th in the league in slugging percentage starting the day. And Bird attacking the first pitch fastball.
You see the Coors Light Braves defense. You talked about Reed Johnson in center field, his 18th start. Hayward on the bench. Johnson, Simmons, Uggla, Freeman. That's been the infield for all 4 games in this series. And Gerald Laird spelling Brian McCann behind the plate. That's less deception from the stretch from young Mr. Wood.
Alex Wood, just 22 years old, drafted last year by the Braves, 2nd round pick out of the University of Georgia, grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, big Braves fan. And his first start against the Mets, very much like Wheeler's start, he had tons of people he knew in the ballpark. He said his second start would be a little less hectic. He said not too many Georgia grads in the New York area, at least not as many.
Probably more than you think in the Big Apple.
Well, you got a little bit of everything.
That's right.
One and 2 to Marlin. And he got a piece of that fastball.
You see his motion, just all arms and legs, and it's almost as if his body has already delivered the pitch before his arm comes through. Never see the baseball, kind of hides his face with his arm and glove, and then just kind of whips it through at the very end.
There goes Wright. The throw by Laird, not in time. A good throw by Laird, but Wright got a good jump and beat it for his 16th stolen base of the year.
Well, huge jump by David, goes on first movement, but nice play by Laird. One hop and a BB to second base. David just gets that right foot in. That's that pop slide that you like to see on steals. Protects the runner, gets there as quickly as you can.
And if the ball goes into center field, you're on your feet ready to go to third. So runner in scoring position for Bird, who's driven in 56 runs to lead the Mets. 2-2 from Wood, and a high fly ball to left. Gaddis settling under, and that retires the side. Mets leave 1 after 1-0 Atlanta. 5 years as your #1 mobile app for live baseball. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Mets baseball with live audio, stats, highlights, and more. Text At Bat to 31826 or visit Mets.com for details. Chris Johnson leads off for the Braves in the top of the second against Zach Wheeler, who had to throw 31 pitches to get through the first inning. And he dents the outside corner, 0-1. Chris Johnson 2 for 12 in this series. Hitting at .325 for the year. That's 5th in the National League.
It's interesting to see the manager talking to the starting pitcher in between innings. Usually it's Roger McDowell. Probably had more to do with holding right on at first base.
That was the first stolen base that Wood has given up in the major leagues. So it's not as though that's been an ongoing issue for him. But it's all a learning process, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Johnson grounds one right at Turner. One-hands it and throws him out, one away.
You know, Gary, that's the second ground ball that Zach Wheeler has got. When he hits his prime, he's going to be a little different than Harvey. He's going to have his strikeout games, but they're not going to come as often as Harvey's are. His great games are going to be, you're going to look up someday, 3-4 years from now, whenever it is, where he's going to have 15 or 16 ground ball outs. Those kind of games are going to be his strength with low pitch counts because of the life on his fastball.
There's Gerald Laird batting for the first time in this series. Well, let me ask you, what does it take to get from where he is now with that movement on his fastball to being that consistent ground ball guy?
Commanding it down in the strike zone like that, and the ability to throw it 7 or 8 times out of 10 where he wants to. He probably right now throws it 2 or 3 times out of 10 where he wants to. So that'll be the adjustment.
Is it a matter of thinking less about strikeouts and thinking more about ground balls? Is that part of it?
Thinking more about being aggressive, that your stuff is better than what bat they're bringing up to the plate. You're better than them.
Laird pops one up. And Daniel Murphy takes charge of it. 2 out. Now we talk about Matt Harvey's fastball being electric. You talk about the life on Wheeler's fastball. What's the difference between the two?
Well, when I watch Harvey throw, it comes out of the chute at 98, 99. What I see from from Wheeler is a nice fluid, easy motion. You know, Harvey's a tank out there when he's going up against these hitters. What I see against Wheeler is a beautiful fluid motion where the ball jumps on you. Where when it comes out of his hand, you're like, wow, that looks manageable. And then at the last minute, late movement. That's what he's got.
Alex Wood, the pitcher, looking for his first big league hit. Left-hand pitcher, but a right-hand batter, just like Zach Wheeler. But opposite. Here's a strike, 2-1. Well, he's been remarkably consistent with those numbers through his minor league career. The question is, how much do minor league numbers really matter? And how much is it about developing your pitches to be major league ready? Swing and a miss. He gets Wood with a high fastball. 4 strikeouts in the first 2 innings for Zach Wheeler, but an unearned run has him behind 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the second at Citi Field. Start against the left-hander today after Ike Davis started the last 3 games. Alex Wood gave up a base hit to David Wright in the first inning, but nothing else, and carries a 1-0 lead into the bottom of the second. The Braves, with their win last night and with the Phillies and Nats continuing to struggle, have now opened up an 8-game lead in the National League East.
Well, right now all you got to do is play a few games over 500 and you're going to gain ground on the 500 or worse rest of the teams in the National League East.
Well, the Mets are going to Washington after the game today. They've got 4 games in D.C., including the day-night doubleheader tomorrow. The Nats finish up their series with the Pirates this afternoon. It's going to be interesting to look at the Nats and also hear how the home crowd there in Washington is responding to a team that has woefully underperformed this year. I mean, you think about it, it's not just how many games you win, it's how many games you win relative to what expectations are. The Nats won 98 last year, but it was touting them as a 100-win team, a World Series winning team, and here they are limping along 5 games under 500 in late July.
It's hard to put it in the same category, but because of the manager, I will. The expectations for that team was the same for what the Mets were after 85. You know, they had a lot of wins. I think the Mets team in 85 won 98 ball games, in fact. And, you know, it was World Series or bust. And the manager said that. World Series or bust for them this year, and a bust so far.
Well, Davey said to you guys in 86 in spring training, we're going to dominate. Well, the Nats have not dominated, and it's a little different in one respect. There's a good changeup by Wood, and it's 2-2. This is Davey's last year, so there's an urgency there that wasn't there 25 years ago.
Well, as far as Davey talked to that 86 team, what's that phrase they have in New York? You got to know your customer. He knew his customer on that team, the individuals in 86, and maybe not the same kind of players in Washington so far this year.
2-2 to Satin, and it's low and inside, a full count with Turner and Buck to follow for the Mets in the second. Josh starts the day hitting .424 against left-handed pitching. He's now had 70 big league at bats this year. 3-2 from Wood, and he hits a shot toward the middle, a base hit. Over comes Gaddis to play it, and Satin will hold with a leadoff single.
Satin has great hands, and what do I mean by that? He, in the strike zone, can make a quick adjustment and get that bat to the ball really quickly. You know, you see a lot of grooved swings now, guys that work off the tee and they have a certain approach. He's got great hands. They're out there and he's waiting, and as soon as he recognizes what kind of pitch it is, he goes after the baseball.
You know, we've talked a lot about the movement in Josh's hands, and he's tried to cut that down a little bit, but in some ways, does the movement enable him to cover more of the strike zone like that?
Enables him. It also gives him his power to get those hands moving. But around the first base bag, not a great trip so far. He's gotten hit in the face and almost fell off the first base bag.
Would have been better off going in on his belly that time. Justin Turner's second at bat since coming off the disabled list. His first one was almost a game winner.
Sometimes the ball is hit and I'll take my eye off it because I'm just looking to see the back runner Quintanilla. Was he going to score in this baseball? Because I had it as a flat out hit. Then I looked up and I see Reed Johnson jumping up and down, the helmet almost being thrown by Turner, and one of the finest catches you'll see to end the game by Jason Hayward.
Well, that catch really, if you think about it, is the difference in this series. If Hayward doesn't catch that ball, the Mets have probably won 2 out of 3 in this series. Instead, the Braves have won 2 of 3. So that was Turner's first at bat off the disabled list. This then is his second. He's down with an intercostal injury, which is somewhere near the oblique, I believe. It's all related.
Get the glossary out.
I like the way Howie Rose refers to it. He calls the intercostal and diagnoses like that. He says that's an expansion muscle.
expansion muscle. Very good.
We didn't have those when we were kids.
Very good. I've heard they're quite painful. I've never had a oblique or intercostal or any of those kinds of injuries. But they do a lot of work with weighted balls now that tweak back and forth. And I'm not saying that causes it, but they're extremely strong in the midsection in their core,
right.
But more apt to, when it does get tweaked, it's a 3-week process.
Wood has gone to a full count on his second straight hitter. Gave him a hit to Satin on a 3-2 pitch. Now it's 3-2 to Turner. Satin without a lot of speed. Let's see if he's asked to run here. Wood checks in on him. When the Mets faced Alex Wood in Atlanta, he threw just 3 innings against them and threw 73 pitches that game. Satin runs and Turner hooks one in the left field for a base hit. Satin will have to stop at second as Gaddis charges it. So with the runner in motion, Turner reaching out and flicking one into left field.
Good pitch, down and away, but that's what Turner does. He makes contact, puts the ball in play, and can get lucky, which he did.
So the Mets have the first 2 men on in the second. And now John Buck will try and make something of it. Buck is 2 for 5 in this series. Has really been swinging the bat much better the last 3 weeks as his playing time has diminished. There was a period there when he was playing 2 weeks straight, but now Anthony Recker's been getting more spot duty. Played last night. They'll share the duties in the doubleheader tomorrow. And it seems to have agreed with Buck, who's really changed his approach at the plate as well.
Going up the middle. July has just been a totally different kind of hitter. He's going up the middle, hitting the ball the other way. Increased his average.
Ball and a strike to Buck. Juan Lagares is hitting 8th in the order. He's on deck.
It's the last time you see a manager in a coat in July in a noon game.
There's a curveball that backdoors across the plate for a strike. 1-2. Well, it's definitely an unseasonably cool afternoon. Temperature in the mid-60s. Wind gusting in from the northeast. Matt Harvey's gone to the hoodie. Fans came equipped today. It's like Candlestick in July. Too high to Buck. 2-2. So we've gone from 97 to 66 on this homestand.
66.
Satin at second, Turner at first with nobody out. Mets down a run in the second inning. 2-2 coming from Wood to Buck. And he struck him out. Came inside with the fastball for his 3rd strikeout.
3 strikeouts already. 11 strikeouts for the Mets last night. And runners at first and second. Fastball up and in just ties John up on the inside part of the plate.
Last night the Mets struck out 11 times. 7 of the 11 were on call 3rd strikes. All of those against Tim Hudson. A little different story here. Juan Lagares the batter. Lagares 1 for 6 in this series after his terrific series against the Phillies. Hitting a .261 for the year. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
This young man Wood is interesting. I don't know if you tennis fans out there, Rafael Nadal, always tugging at his shorts in between points. And the same with Wood. He's always playing around with his pants after he delivers the ball to the plate.
To get a pair that fit.
Exactly.
There's a good changeup by Wood, and he gets ahead on Lagares 0-2.
It's honestly probably not the pants. It's just a little idiosyncratic thing that he does. Little picadillo for Wood.
Whatever works, right?
Right. It's usually nerves is what it is usually.
It's like hitters unvelcroing and readjusting their batting gloves.
Same deal.
Garris lays off that changeup, and it's 1-2. Mets are 3-3 on this homestand. They took 2 out of 3 for the Phillies. They've lost 2 out of 3 in this series so far. So trying to finish a winning homestand in a venue that has given them trouble this year. The Mets are 10 games under 500 at home and over 500 on the road. 1-2, and Garris bounces the curveball foul.
I played baseball for 14 years. Been doing this job for what's our 8th year here, Derek. I don't think I've ever been around a ball club that's going to play 3-4 game series in a row. Very unusual.
Well, they have this 4-game series, then the 4-game series with the doubleheader starting tomorrow in D.C. and then 4 in Miami. Of course, they played a 5-game series against the Braves.
That's right.
Garris down swinging on the fastball. So Wood has his 4th strikeout, and they've all come on the fastball.
We talked a little bit about Wheeler having some explosion up in the strike zone. So does Mr. Wood. Balls by Lagares. You know, that arm slot is kind of out to the side, little past 3/4. Kind of slings it up there.
So the Mets got 2 hits to start the inning. Now a couple of strikeouts, and Zach Wheeler bats. Wheeler 2 for 10. He has a double. He's driven in a run. Got the double in San Francisco when he hit one over the center fielder's head, and significantly Reed Johnson just moved back a couple steps in center field. It's like he was remembering the scouting report. Here's a curveball for a strike, and it's 0-2 to Zach.
It's almost not fair. Pitcher. That's pitcher on pitcher crime right there.
Well, if you insist on batting left-handed, I'm going to throw him a curveball. And Wood handles the comebacker, and that retires the side. Mets started the inning strong, but Wood comes back to put up a 0 and leads 1-0 after 2. Orlando Resort. Enjoy all the action and fun of Universal's 2 amazing theme parks and stay on site at the electrifying Hard Rock Hotel. Just go to sny.tv/Toyota and enter the Toyota Fan Flyaway Sweepstakes for your chance to win. Let's look at today's AT&T trivia question. That's a great question. Prior to Tom Seaver, Who was the last Met to wear number 41?
That would have been a great Stump Gary question.
I have no idea. Who would know that? You know who might know that? Ralph Kiner might know that. Ralph is with us in the booth today. You have any idea who won 41 before Tom Seaver?
I have no idea.
Yeah, well, then you're with the rest of us.
Yeah, and I've been with the Mets all that time. 41.
Hopefully it's not a coach or something.
I got to guess.
Okay.
Fly ball out to right off the bat of Andrelton Simmons. Murphy calls, and he'll make the catch.
Okay, you guys know your Mets stuff. Was there a reason that Seaver picked number 41, or was that just given to him? Like, was that his number, or?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I'm thinking, did Hawk Taylor wear number 41? Remember Hawk Taylor?
I sure do.
Catcher?
I remember him, but I don't remember the number.
I don't know. That's just a wild guess.
Hawk Taylor's the first guy that said put it on the board, right?
Different Hawk.
Oh.
That's a strike. Well, Ralph, you were here when Seaver first came up in 1967. You got a chance to watch him throughout his Mets career and all the great young pitchers who came up. Kuzman, Gentry, Ryan. And now you've got a new wave of pitchers with Matt Harvey and Zach Wheeler. Do you see comparisons between this generation and that one?
I see a comparison with Dwight Gooden. I really do see that in the new type pitchers the Mets have. Gooden, of course, had short arms, and he had a great move and had all this stuff. You know, Seaver, as a young man going through high school, was really a scrawny kind of guy, and he turned out to be a guy that lifted weights and got himself in terrific shape.
Nice play by Murphy, and from a knee he throws out Reed Johnson, 2 out. And of course, Tom went into the Marines too, which I'm sure helped as well.
Didn't hurt him right there, and of course he had a background. His dad was a great athlete. His dad was a great amateur golfer, played football at Stanford, and he sort of grew into that. And a part of his development was being in the Marine Corps.
The discipline, right, Ralph?
And you, of course, you work when you're in the Marines. You get a lot of work.
You know, we watched this, and I know there's 2 outs here. This guy got off to such a quick start, Justin Upton. Hit 12 home runs in April. It's all dried up. Home run hitter you were. What happens to a home run hitter when it dries up a little?
Thank God it didn't dry up for me. That's all I can tell you.
You would know. You would know what I'm talking about.
Well, it went from 23 home runs to 51, and then it went to 40, and then from there on it went to 54.
Off the end of the bat, long run in for Lagares, and he gets there to make the catch. Well, I'll tell you what, that's one he could have easily misjudged, but he figured that out quickly. 1-2-3 inning for Zach Wheeler. 1-0 Braves in the third. Afternoon. There's plenty happening down in those canyons, you know.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
You know what was really strange is that the temperature went from 100 degrees down to what it is right here today. It's around 65. And that's quite a switch.
Some people call that refreshing. I call it the onset of winter.
You know, I always have been partial to heat. I like real hot weather, and I also like the fact that when you sweat and you play baseball, it's a real opening to good swings.
Eric Young bounces one past Johnson, but Simmons on the backhand can't get it on target. And Young has an infield hit. Simmons has certainly shown us he's capable of making every play, but not this one.
I think he, and I could be wrong here, I think he fancified that up a little bit. You know, he got to it so quickly, he could have planted and thrown that nice overhand toss and wanted that jump throw a la Derek Jeter.
You think that he would realize that the runner was Young and Young couldn't run?
Yeah, I think he did, but I don't know. He has such a great throwing arm. He's been timed at 98 miles an hour. I think he could have thrown one over there and still gotten him.
So Young is aboard. Daniel Murphy, the batter, struck out his first time up. Eric has 2 steals in this series, 20 for the year.
He certainly can steal a base, and they're shorting up in the infield at short and second. What do you think about that balk move?
Yeah, well, the balk move is the new move, which is not a balk move called anymore except by one umpire in baseball. So it's Bob Davidson's the only one that'll call that. The step used to be about a 45-degree angle towards first base. Now they step home and throw to first.
And that is a book if you read the book.
Well, I've always been an advocate. They put lines down the first and third base line. Why not a line on the pitcher's mound?
They tried that in spring training a couple of years.
Oh, they
put a line that radiated from the first base side of the rubber perpendicular to the foul line to create that 45-degree angle to give the umpires a guideline, but they never used it in the regular season.
Now that's a very short lead, so they're certainly aware that he can steal.
Well, David went on first movement. See, most young pitchers, what they do when they come into first, they look home.
Right.
And when they're looking at first, they go to the plate.
That's ridiculous.
Certainly not stepping toward first.
Yeah, certainly not stepping toward first base.
Murphy loops one into shallow left. That'll fall for a base hit. So just as they did in the second inning, the Mets get a couple of soft hits to start the third. And now David Wright will try and make something of it. David jumped on the first pitch he saw from Alex Wood and lined a base hit to left his first time up.
Oh, David, one of the great prospects in baseball to continue to be a very strong hitter. I like the fact that he uses his shoulders and uses them as a trigger. See the shoulders rotate back, and then it puts the bat in the perfect position to fire away. One thing about David is the fact that he has learned to lay off those pitches just as a teaser and off the plate.
Drilled to center field. Reed Johnson is there. Tagging at second is Young, and he'll move over to third. David has hit the ball hard throughout this homestand, sometimes into some bad luck, and that was the case there.
David with a base hit his first time up. I like the way he has gotten himself closer to the plate. And, of course, there is a good-looking swing.
Ralph, you talk about the shoulder rotation. Is that an unusual thing, or is that something that any power hitter has got to have?
Well, actually, it's a cocking motion. It's rolling your shoulders backwards away from the ball and then into the ball.
Here's Marlon Byrd, who flied out to left his first time up. Tying run at third and 1 out with the Mets down 1-0 in the third. Wood comes inside with a fastball.
What do you think of the swing on Marlon Byrd, which is definitely different than David Wright's?
He's a short fellow, but he has a good cock in the swing as he rotates his shoulders back just the degree to put yourself into a hitting position.
And Marlin drives one into left field. That'll get the tying run in. Murphy's going to head to third as Gaddis mishandles it. Now the play at second, and Byrd slides in safely.
Well, the Braves are playing a catcher in left field, and it's hurt them a couple of times in this series. The Mets get the tying run home, and they take the extra base on Gaddis.
Well, nice hitting there by Byrd, Ralph. Quick stroke.
And, of course, the quickness of the fielder is not that good as he drops the ball.
You know what's nice about this? Watch Murph. Murph forces the play because he's hustling around second, and once he stumbled, he was able to take third base. If he had gone in to second base easy, he would not have gone to third, and Byrd piggybacking behind him gets the extra base.
Well, there's certainly no lack of hustle in the Mets action in the ballgame.
So the game is tied, second and third, and 1 out for Josh Satin. The infield play is back, and he takes a strike. Satin single to center his first time up. The Mets now have 6 hits against Alex Wood. It's a single and an RBI for Byrd, then an error on Gaddis, allowing the runners to move to second and third. It brings up an interesting point about the lineup that Freddie Gonzalez put out there today. You know, with a left-hander on the mound, the Mets have been hitting everything to left field, which is kind of what you'd expect. And yet he's playing a player who's playing completely out of position in left field.
Could have flip-flopped. You could have caught Gaddis today.
Right.
You could put Upton in left field. That's where he played the first half of the season.
Curveball hit down the right field line, a foul ball. 1-2.
Yeah, one of the things about baseball, they have changed the game to the point where you play a lot of players out of position.
Yeah.
So there really isn't anything unusual about that.
But I think taking an educated stab at it is better than just throwing him out there willy-nilly. You know, if there's going to be a lot of plays on the left side of the infield, you want to, or left side of the diamond, put your better players there.
Well, the one thing about that is that you teach them how to play under their position. And it gives you a little more versatility in your picking out players and where they play.
Yeah.
Murphy at third, Byrd at second with 1 out. 2-2 to Satin, who's hitting .391 with runners in scoring position. And Satin tries to hold and does, and now it's 3-2 again, which it always is for Satin.
Yeah, Satin's tried to hold up in the swing, and he almost got himself hit. You know, this pitcher reminds me of a Warren Spahn.
Huh. It's pretty good praise,
especially in that uniform.
Yeah, there's a Warren Spahn didn't start his major league career till after World War II. He was 27.
Down the right field line, Upton takes a look, but that's a foul ball.
I had against Warren Spahn in the minor leagues when I was coming up in baseball, and he pitched for Hartford, and he also was a very good hitter. I think he had 37 home runs in his major league career. Yeah.
When you saw him in the minor leagues, did you think he was going to be The guy would win 363 games.
No, I didn't. Well, that's a late start when you start at that age and still have all those wins.
Spahn and I just one game short of 500 wins career.
Nice. You almost got Cy Young.
Warren Spahn was one of those pitchers that pitched inning after inning. One time pitched the ball game that went 15 innings against Warner Marshall. And both of those pitchers stayed in the game.
Outside ball 4. Satton's on with a walk. First one given up by Wood. And the Mets have the bases loaded for Turner. That was Willie Mays hit the home run off Spahn, right?
Yeah, and Spahn said he would have won that ball game because he hit a home run and they called it a foul ball.
You know, Roger McDowell going out to speak to the pitcher. You saw on the TV there, Alex Wood looked at his catcher, Gerald Laird, and he had that sign back and forth. What that meant is that he was letting Laird know if there's a comebacker back to me with one out, I'm going to come to the plate and we'll try to 1-2-3 double play. That's what you're looking for if you're a pitcher. Tough job for a pitching coach. You have a young pitcher out there. He's a little wild. Got the bases loaded. It's a critical point in this ball game, and it's only the 3rd inning, but it's a critical part of the ball game and trying to nurse him through this inning.
And this is as far as he went against the Mets the first time in his first major league start. Got through 3 innings because of a high pitch count, and his pitch count rising again here as he faces Turner in a big spot. Mets have tied the game here in the 3rd. Murphy at 3rd, Bird at 2nd, and Satin at 1st with 1 out. Turner hooked a base hit to left field his first time up. And Justin hits one off the end of the bat. Uggla has to charge it. His only play is to first, and the Mets get the lead run home. Murphy scores, and the Mets go in front 2-1.
Right here, of course, he goes after the first pitch.
Change-up, Ralph.
And it's a change-up, and he's out in front of the ball. Hits it off the end of the bat and drives in the run. So I guess you'd call that successful.
7th RBI of the season for Turner. Now 2 in scoring position for Buck, who struck out his first time up. And the curveball hit through the hole, a base hit. Bird is in. Here comes Satin. Here comes Gaddis's throw to the plate. Not in time. Down to second. Buck slides in safely. It's 4-1 New York.
Well, the action on that play, wonderful for the New York Mets. And by putting the ball in play and throwing, the Mets pick up a big run that puts them in good scoring position.
And another mistake by the left fielder Gaddis, overthrowing the cutoff man, allows John Buck, who doesn't have a lot of speed, to get to second base.
And not a good throw.
2 outs. Tuff's going to be setting Satin, taking a chance with the catcher out in left field. And everything pays off for the Mets, who have been so aggressive on the bases in these first 3 innings. Nice hustle by John.
Now they'll intentionally walk Lagares to get to Wheeler. So the Mets have scored 4 times here in the 3rd inning. So Buck continues his renewed production as a singles and doubles hitter. He's had so many big hits for the Mets during this month. Up to 51 RBIs now. He had the huge month of April, mostly centered around the home run. The power has not been there this month, but the production has been.
If he keeps hitting the way he's hitting, he's going to hit more home runs. Driving in runs is the key. Always has been.
So Wheeler, the 9th man up in the inning, hit a comebacker his first time up. And he hits a little flare to shortstop. It spins to Simmons, the quick throw, and it gets Wheeler by a stride and a half to retire the side. But the Mets score 4. Buck with a 2-run hit, 4-1 New York. Andrew Brown takes over for Eric Young. Now, Terry Collins had said before the game that when Young stepped on Tim Hudson's foot at first base last night, that he tweaked his leg a little bit, but he was okay to be in the lineup today. But that last trip around the bases for Young, a little problematic. Look at this as he tagged at second and went to third.
It's on the right line drive. You can see trying to push it, but just running awkwardly
and grimacing as he goes. So I'm sure that was a giveaway. So Eric comes out of the game and Andrew Brown goes into left field. Freddie Freeman will lead off for the Braves in the fourth inning. Zach Wheeler now staked to a 4-1 lead. Freeman walked his first time up. Since then, Wheeler has not allowed a walk or a hit. Gave up an unearned run in the first inning, the result of a buck throwing error. First pitch fastball outside for ball one.
Part of being a major league pitcher, Ralph, after your team's gone out and scored your 4 runs, to be a successful one, shutdown inning.
Here's a batter right here to watch.
What do you like about Freeman, Ralph?
I like everything about the way he goes on the approach to hitting. And the basic thing about hitting is to make a good approach. He was behind that pitch. Fastball was thrown right by him. He didn't like that.
Frustration, you can see it etched on his face. He feels as though this entire series, Ralph, he's missed 4 or 5 pitches that he's fouled back.
Takes this one the other way, and Freeman's got himself a base hit.
And to hit the ball to left field like that, he has to be behind the pitch. He stayed there just a little bit longer and hit the ball to left field.
Ralph, he looks so uncomfortable with that high left elbow. How does he get his bat into the hitting zone with that elbow so high?
He has to move fast, and the whole thing about where your hands are and where the elbow is at contact is where the ball goes.
Here's Evan Gattis, who struck out his first time up and reached safely on a wild pitch.
And the fastball right there was inside. And you have to lay off that pitch if you're going to be a good hitter.
Popped up. Wright will take charge of it.
Same pitch, and the result was no good.
Well, time to answer our AT&T trivia question. We asked who wore number 41 before Tom Seaver. Okay, I do not remember Gordon Richardson. Do you, Ralph?
I think he's forgettable.
He's forgettable.
I think he was a left winger for the Maple Leafs, wasn't he? What a great name, Gordon Richardson. Sounds like an actor.
The first Met ever to wear number 41 was a former Brooklyn Dodger, Clem Labine, in 1962.
Yeah. Clem was a good curveball pitcher and one of the real tough batters, I should say, hitters, pitcher to hit.
And then Grover Powell, who was a flash in the pan for the Mets in 1963, came up, had a couple of really great starts, and then I guess hurt his arm. Grover Powell wore number 41. But Gordon Richardson, I don't remember.
Well, the numbers are going higher and higher nowadays. They're retiring too many numbers.
Not the Mets.
I'm sure there had to be a lot of players at that time that were, or a lot of children named Grover, right? Because of the great players. Grover Cleveland, of course, Alexander.
Pitcher.
Wheeler behind Uggla 2-0. And he swings and misses at the fastball 2-1. Now, it was 25 years ago yesterday that the Mets retired Tom Seaver's number 41, which to date is still the only player number that the Mets have ever retired. There's one other team that has retired number 41.
Got me.
And that's the Braves.
And that was Eddie Matthews.
Exactly right.
Wow.
Eddie Matthews, the great third baseman for the Braves, wore number 41. His number is retired as well.
Unusual number for an infielder, right?
You know, he was a great football player in Santa Barbara. And then went into baseball, and I want to tell you, he could play. He got better with his fielding and ended up by being a good fielder and hitter.
Uggla drives one to left. Brown going back. It's over his head and out of here. A 2-run homer for Dan Uggla. And the Braves get within a run. It's 4-3. Uggla doesn't realize it's a home run, but the third base umpire, Chad Fairchild, called it all the way. Second home run of the series for Uggla, his 21st of the year. And the Met lead is sliced to a single run.
That's the third home run we've seen this homestand that has gone off that railing. David Wright, Juan Lagarce, and now this one. Just over the orange line. An attempt there by the fan, and it bounces back into the play off that green grating.
If his arms were about 10 feet longer, he might have had a chance.
David into the mound to talk to Zach Wheeler.
Well, Uggla continues to be the Citi Field leader among visiting players in home runs. He's now hit 11 of them in this ballpark. There are only 3 players who have homered in every year that Citi Field has been open. David Wright, Joey Votto, and Dan Uggla. The only 3 players who have homered at Citi Field in every year that it's been open.
Joey Votto plays 3 games a year here.
I know. Here's Chris Johnson, who grounded to short his first time. And Wheeler falls behind him 2-0. Well, the Braves are a home run hitting team. That's 123 now, leading the National League. Well, that's not a formula for success.
It's just the opposite of what he did when he pitched against them down in Atlanta. He was very aggressive, went right after him, just having a hard time fighting himself, as you can see.
Second walk given up by Wheeler as he passes Johnson on 4 pitches right after the home run.
Now John Buck's going to go out there. You know what I would like to hear when you're a young player is for your catcher to come out, kind of make light of it and say, hey kid, you know you got a 1-0 lead. You're winning by 1 run. Let's get him out, get back on the bench, and we'll hit their pitcher more.
You take the positive side of that.
With young pitchers, I think you take the positive side, Ralph. You know, you got a veteran out there. Sometimes you can give him a little swift kick.
Laird has to vacate. 1-0, so Wheeler all over the place right now. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
You know, Ronnie, on what you just said, I spoke with Anthony Reckert today. He caught Wheeler's last start, caught his debut in Atlanta, and I asked him, you know, last start he was wild. We know that. What do you do in those situations? Do you have conversations? He said, you know, yeah, you do. He said, for me, last start, I think in the second inning when we were talking, I just reminded him, your stuff's good enough. You know, you don't have to be perfect. Just going and trying to attack these hitters. Your stuff is good enough to get outs. It's okay to make contact. That's the types of messages that Reckert was trying to relay last time.
Take it from someone who tried to be perfect for 2 years, his first 2 years in the major leagues. You can win some games, but boy, it's tough. And he'll learn. Takes time sometimes, especially if you're learning on the job.
And you have to go out there and learn while you're pitching the ball game. And you have no success. It's hard to be positive.
Yeah.
1-2 to Laird. He got him. Wheeler strikes out Laird for the second out. That's 5 strikeouts for Zach.
That should make him feel pretty good right there. He struck him out with a pitch out of the strike zone.
Well, he threw 2 sliders in the zone and then rushed that ball by him.
So 2 out, the tying run at first, and the pitcher Wood will bat. He struck out his first time up.
You know, Ron, when you miss by that much, something's got to be wrong.
Yeah. he's got a lot of moving parts right now. You know, when you watch his delivery, when he does it right, it gets right in that slot. But the more moving parts you have, the more something can go wrong.
When you say moving parts, Ron, what are you talking about specifically?
You want to simplify, just like a hitter does. Hitter wants to have a simple movement to the ball. He doesn't want a lot of moving parts. We talked about that with Ike Davis. Same for a pitcher.
Wheeler throws out Wood to end the inning, but Dan Uggla gets the Braves closer. His second home run of the series, his 21st of the year, and it's 4-3 New York in the fourth. Plus see the special moments Matt Harvey and David Wright experienced on Mets Insider, presented by W.B. Mason, Sunday at 6, only on SNY. Today's Twisted but True Fact brought to you by Twisted Tea, the hard iced tea that tastes like real iced tea. So without the home runs, Hank Aaron had over 3,000 hits, and of course he had 755 home runs.
Pretty good stats right there.
What was it? The Pete Rose had 3,000 hits just left-handed in his career.
Beat, of course, guy with the most hits of anybody in the history of the game of baseball.
256 of them. Andrew Brown up for the first time, took over for Eric Young in left field in the last inning. Brown has hit 3 home runs this year, all against left-handed pitching. And he fouls back that fastball from Alex Wood. 1 and 2. Daniel Murphy on deck, and then David Wright. Let's put up 4 runs in the third inning. Lead 4-3. There are some of the particulars on Hank Aaron.
755 home runs. And he came up and hit cross-handed for a while.
Reed Johnson reaches down to make the shoestring catch to take a base hit away from Andrew Brown for the first out.
That's right. He hit cross-handed for a while because what was the bat too heavy or something when he was a kid? Or
I have no idea. There's nobody that I know of that ever hit cross-handed in the major leagues. Cross-handed means you put the other hand on top rather than the bottom hand on top.
I don't understand how you could even function.
Well, they have a game in Ireland called hurling,
right?
And they will play that cross-handed. And occasionally you'll be on a golf course and you'll see a person playing golf in Ireland cross-handed because they were a curling star. It's a hurling star, sorry, not curling. So it can be done. It's a strange thing.
You have to have awfully strong wrists, which of course Hank did. He had tremendous wrists.
Yeah, the fastest wrists I've ever seen.
I remember when I was doing minor league baseball in Durham. It was the Braves organization, and Hank at that time was the farm director, and every once in a while he'd come down and visit. And you know, Hank was a great hitter, but he'd stand behind the cage and he'd get frustrated watching these A-ball players, you know, trying to hit. And every once in a while he would jump in the cage and say, "Do it this way," and he'd flick those wrists and hit the ball 400 feet and say, "Do it that way." And of course nobody could do it that way except Hank.
Well, the one thing about Hank Aaron was he was almost signed by the New York Giants along with Willie Mays. How would you like to have those two guys on one ball club?
Wow. That would have been a bonanza from Alabama.
Boy. Well, I've heard about bananas from Alabama, but not bananas.
Isn't it true that Aaron started as like a second baseman too?
Yes, he did. Infielder. It was an infielder.
David Wright is 1 for 2. Isn't that what Mr. Buttermeyer told Jamal in Bad News Bears? That Hank Aaron made 42 errors?
That's right.
Buttermaker.
Buttermaker. There you go.
Wood comes inside to right, and it's 3-1.
They play that movie on the MLB channel occasionally, and every time I watch it, it gets funnier and funnier.
And it convinces you more and more that you couldn't make that movie today.
That's right.
Fly ball right center. Reed Johnson back and onto the warning track to grab it, and that retires the side. 1-2-3 inning for Alex Wood. And Ralph, your visits are far too infrequent and far too brief. Please come back soon.
I would love to, and it's always nice working with you two guys. You set me up nicely.
No, enjoy Greenwich.
After 4. By Verizon. You can meet Mr. Med at the Verizon store at 4521 Broadway in Washington Heights tomorrow from 5 to 8 p.m. and sign up for a chance to participate in a free kids clinic at Citi Field on August 4th. Zach Wheeler holding a 1-run lead as we go to the 5th inning. Third time around the batting order for the Braves. Andrelton Simmons has grounded to short and popped up to second, 0 for 2. And Wheeler misses outside for ball 1. Simmons, then Reed Johnson and Justin Upton for the Braves in the 5th. It's been an inconsistent first 7 starts for Wheeler, but through his first 6 he has a 3-1 record and he has a lead today. Started the day with a 3.58 ERA, so you can find much light in Zach's inconsistencies. There's a fastball strike to Simmons, 2-1. Simmons has homered twice in this series. Started the day with a 7-game hitting streak. He, like Wheeler, just 23 years old. And he hits one in the air to deep center field. Back goes Lagares to the warning track. Gets there. Juan Lagares makes it look so easy. Plays shallow, gets great jumps, and that was a very good play that he made look simple.
Well, like you said, he plays shallow, and he just seems to know what spot to run to. And the other thing is, and I don't want to discount this, because we've seen some outfielders in this series don't do it, fearless. And that's something you can't teach. You either got it or you don't.
So 1 out. Here's Reed Johnson, and he takes up and in for ball 1. Get a report on Eric Young. Left the game with right knee pain. Don't know if that's related to last night's incident with Tim Hudson or not, but that's why he left the game today. Fastball strike to Johnson, 1-1. Reed Johnson doubled down the left field line and scored a run in the first inning. Hit a shot to Murphy that Murph was able to handle on one quick hop in the third. There's a good curveball by Wheeler, 1-2.
Good about that curveball. The arm speed was there. He just let it fly. Don't feel for it. Get to the top and spin it. That motion will get the hitter as much as the spin on the baseball.
Wheeler has struck out 5 this afternoon. Johnson pops it up. Satin calling all the way. In foul territory for the second out. So Wheeler 1 out away from qualifying for a victory. 2 out and nobody on, and Justin Upton the batter. Upton has struck out and flied to center field, 0 for 2. Braves got an unearned run against Wheeler in the first inning, and then after the Mets took a 4-1 lead, Uggla hit a 2-run homer in the fourth.
Got to be loose by now. Starting pitcher Alex Wood. Just nervousness probably for the youngster.
Upton hits a roller to shortstop, and Turner takes care of that. Side retired. 1-2-3 go the Braves in the top of the 5th. Halfway through, it's 4-3 New York. Field on a cool July afternoon.
That's Samantha Relkin, our stage manager, Russ Relkin's daughter, in the blue. And I'm glad that she got her hoodie because Russ was worried that she would not have her sweatshirt today.
Do you think Russ would have let Samantha come to the ballpark without a hoodie?
He would have been down in the Met shop getting something.
Marlon Byrd leads off in the bottom of the 5th. Byrd drove in a run with a base hit his first time up. That tied up the game after the Mets fell behind 1-0. Bird's 57th run batted in to lead the team. And as the days get shorter before the trade-in deadline, which is only 6 days away, the questions continue to linger about Marlon and the interest that teams have, and more importantly, what they're willing to offer. And fastball just missed, 1-2.
Things for the most part will be pretty buttoned down by the time the Mets leave Miami.
Well, the deadline is Wednesday, which is the 3rd day the Mets will be in Miami. Two and two to Bird with Satin and Turner to follow.
And he takes one the other way for a base hit.
Haven't seen a lot of that from Marlon, but he skims one through the right side for his 2nd hit of the day. So the Mets have their 8th hit against Alex Wood, and the Braves are going to get their bullpen cranking now as Josh Satin steps in. Satin's been on base twice. He singled up the middle, then walked and scored in the 3rd. Well, Marlon Byrd has had a comeback season, and there are serious reasons for success, and then there are light reasons for success.
Big part of this thing is the hug. You know, if everyone sees pregame handshakes, you know, you see the cool things you do, everything. Justin Turner going around, we do, you know, do our little handshake. But when it comes to Anthony Recker, he's a hugger. So the big thing with us is getting a big hug, but it has to be a big hug. It's not that manly hug where it's quick, fast. It's a big bear hug where you grab, hold for about 5 seconds. And ever since we started doing that, I really started hitting the ball. So I get my daily hug every single day from Recker, and he says it's all about him.
Well, that's 2 big men right there. But think about it this way. 2007, when the Red Sox won the World Series, I saw Manny Ramirez during the playoffs, and I said, we were just talking, and I said, hey, Manny, well, what do you think's been the big thing this year? He goes, Ronnie, we lead the league in hugs. And in his way, he kind of explained how tight the Red Sox were and one of the reasons they won the World Series.
Now, I was watching a game the other day, and I saw in the Tigers dugout Prince Fielder and Miguel Cabrera hold a hug several seconds longer than what Bird and Recker have been doing. I know you talk about 2 big gentlemen.
Well, then you need to go to a longer hug because he's hitting 360. You know, the longer the hug, the better it goes.
The more you get that success rubbing off. Right?
That's right.
Whatever works, you know. 0-2 to Justin Turner. And Wood misses low and in. Turner in his first start since the middle of June had a base hit in the 2nd and then drove in a run with a ground out in the 3rd. John Buck, who has the biggest hit of this game for New York, waits on deck. Now the 1-2, and it's low and away, a changeup, 2-2. Ronnie, you asked earlier the last time the Mets had a stretch of 3 straight 4-game series. You got to go back 13 years. In 2000, they had 3 straight 4-game series in August of that year against the Astros, Giants, and Rockies.
That was a pretty good year.
Down the right field line, up and over for a look, but that'll be in the crowd. Alex Wood, just his second big league start. The first one lasted only 3 innings, so he's gotten a lot deeper today. Braves have the bullpen going now with Wood at 88 pitches. Bird at first and 1 out. And Turner has to turn out of the way. Full count. Here's your 5th inning recap presented by your local Tri-Honda dealers. Mets put up a 4 spot in the 3rd. John Buck with a 2-run single. Zach Wheeler has held the lead. Dan Uggla got the Braves closer with a 2-run homer, his second in 2 nights. 3-2 with 1 out. We'll see if Bird is running. He is. And Turner pokes one off the glove of Freeman. That should have been a double play. Turner's going to go to second. Freddie Freeman, normally a terrific fielder. That should have been an easy line drive double play to end the inning. Instead, the Mets have 2nd and 3rd and 1 out.
I don't know if he didn't look it in or if it just glanced off his glove, or what happens to fielders sometimes, they're not sure if it's going to stay in the air or short hop them, and I think he got caught in between. Here's Bird looking at the third base coach. Where's the baseball? Tuck says, come on, get over here.
It's an error all the way on Freeman.
And Turner, of course, able to proceed once the speed taken off that ball by the deflection by Freeman.
Well, Alex Wood should be out of this inning. Instead, he's out of the game, and the Braves make a pitching change here in the 5th. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Fios. Cameron Lowe will come in the game for the Braves. It's 4-3 New York in the 5th. This season. It appears the Braves are setting up for an appeal play at first base, where Justin Turner wound up at second on that last play, and Lowe steps off and tries the appeal, and apparently Justin touched the bag just fine.
Well, interesting choice here with Cameron Lowe. We talked about he was with Milwaukee for many seasons. He's been with the Cubs and Mariners this year. Mets leading by 1. Lowe's not a strikeout pitcher. He's a ground ball pitcher.
Braves playing the infield back here. Second and third, one out with the Mets already ahead in this game. And Buck flares one that Lowe is able to grab. Buck got jammed so badly. He hit a little bloop about 10 feet in front of the mound. That is a big second out for the Braves.
One of those balls that just ran in on Buck. Remember his last at bat? He got a base hit and drove in two. What pitch was it? The first pitch against Wood. Tries to do it again, but this one ran in on his bat.
So now with first base open and the pitcher on deck, Lagares, who was intentionally walked his last time up, see if he gets the same treatment here with a right-hander on the mound, and they will indeed intentionally walk him again.
That's the right move. You know, they're looking at the same July numbers that we're looking at, aren't they?
And it's a wild pitch, but Bird is unable to make the break. Now, how often do you see that? On an intentional walk, Lowe throws it away, but it's so short to the backstop that Bird does not score.
You know, I forgot this. Lowe, when he was in Milwaukee, has trouble throwing the ball on the intentional walk. You saw when they appealed to first that he gingerly threw it to first. This is always been a little issue for him. He's got to throw it as hard as he does when he normally pitches. He's got a little bit of the yips when it comes to this. And no, I don't get it. why you can't throw the ball 60 feet when it's your living.
We know catchers have that problem, throwing the ball back to the mound.
And Laird does have that problem, by the way.
And there finally is ball four,
which was almost a strike.
And Lowe can breathe now.
It was almost a strike.
So now Wheeler will bat with the bases loaded.
If I'm the manager or pitching coach right now, I call Wheeler back or Tim Tuffle. Say, listen, he threw one to the backstop. Three of the other ones weren't even close. Make him throw a strike here. Do not swing until he throws a strike.
Wheeler's 0 for 2. He's hit a comebacker and grounded out to short. Mets have the bases loaded and 2 out, a 1-run lead in the 5th. And Wheeler goes after the first pitch. Bird at third, he singled. Turner at second, he reached on an error. Lagares at first, he intentionally walked. Mets are 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position today. Lowe quickly ahead on Wheeler, 0-2. Andrew Brown would be next. But it's up to Wheeler to try and make something happen here. Zach with 1 career run batted in. 2 hits and 12 at bats in the big leagues. The 6'8" Lowe delivers 1-2 and he misses outside. 2-2 to Wheeler. Lowe pitched earlier this year with the Mariners and the Cubs. Braves just called him up the other day. His second appearance for them.
He's a sinker ball pitcher. Gonna pitch away. It's gonna be down. Go that way if you can.
2-2. And it's down, ball 3. So after Wheeler was aggressive early in the count, he's able to work it full. And that'll set the merry-go-round in motion. Bird at third, Turner at second, Lagares at first. They'll all be running with 3 and 2 and 2 down. Lowe with the 3-2. And Wheeler taps it toward third. Johnson with the short hop gets the force on Turner to end the inning. So the Mets got a big break on the missed line drive, but failed to capitalize. Still 4-3 after 5. Your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Zach Wheeler back to the mound for the 6th inning, working with a 4-3 lead. 85 pitches through 5. He's walked 2. He struck out 5, allowed 3 runs and 3 hits. 2 of the 3 runs earned against Wheeler. Freddie Freeman will lead off in the 6th with Gaddis and Ugla to follow. Freeman's been aboard twice. He walked in the 1st, singled and scored in the 4th, and I'm sure breathed a deep sigh of relief when the Mets didn't score in that last half inning.
Watch this at bat. When you watch a game, if a guy makes a mistake in the field, the next time, if he's up that next inning, he will have his sights set on trying to atone.
Now, we've seen this quite a bit with Wheeler this year. In the 1st inning, he came out throwing 95 miles an hour. Haven't really seen that since the 1st inning. Freeman hits it out to center field deep. Back goes Lagares to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Freddie Freeman ties the game dead central for his 11th home run of the year. And it's 4-4. Redemption indeed.
You know, when you think of Freddie Freeman, you don't think of a guy who's a home run hitter. But I think as he goes on in his career, and he's such a big guy, he's going to be a 20 home run guy at some point. But that is not fake power. That's through the wind over the center field wall.
So the Braves hit their 2nd home run of the day. Ugla a 2-run shot, and now Freeman ties it with a solo blast. And here's Evan Gaddis, and he grounds one to Turner. And Gaddis retired on 1 pitch for the 1st out of the inning.
Well, Freeman's a down hitter. He's an over the plate hitter, and that ball's middle. And he really just hit that on the line, which just cut through the wind. Apple depth. You see Zach Wheeler hasn't pitched here enough to know if that is covered by Freeman. Probably mouthing stay in the ballpark, and it did not.
Well, the Braves have now hit 6 home runs in this series. The Mets have hit none. It's the Braves game. We've said it all year long. They're a home run hitting team. They strike out a ton. They don't manufacture a whole lot of runs. But 3 home runs last night, 2 more today. And they come from 3 runs down to get even. Ugla hit the 2-run shot to get them close. His 2nd in this series, his 21st of the year. And that curveball goes behind him and hits him. Well, Ugla is hit by a pitch for the 3rd time in this series. Remember, in the 1st inning, on a pitch that was up and in, he stared out at Wheeler.
And then he stared at the Mets bench and started to laugh because a couple of them have been breaking balls. Obviously, no intent. But still. Hurts.
So the go-ahead run is aboard. Chris Johnson, the batter. By the way, that's the 6th straight game now that a Met pitcher has hit at least 1 batter. Up and away, and he swings and misses, nothing in 1. Johnson has grounded to short and drawn a walk 0 for 1.
Very surprised that the Mets don't have anyone throwing in the bullpen. What?
Well,
maybe
we've talked about this
game, doubleheader tomorrow.
Right. And the other piece is, we've talked about this before, sometimes you manage up to the pitch count and sometimes you manage down to the pitch count.
I would have been, I mean, if you have the pitching available, once you had the lead after 5, you would have been looking to make sure you got the bullpen in if you kept the lead, but Freeman changed that.
David Carpenter up in the Braves bullpen as they work down toward the pitcher's spot. Johnson, the number 7 hitter, takes a fastball for a strike, 1-2. By the way, for Freddie Freeman, that's his 4th home run this year against the Mets. He hit the game winner against Dylan G in Atlanta. And he's now got 10 career home runs against the Mets, the most he has against any opponent. A budding Chipper Jones. Double play ball. Murphy to Turner. Easy for the 4-6-3 double play to end the inning. But the Braves get even. Freeman's revenge. number 11 for Freeman. And Wheeler's 3-run lead is gone. It's a 4-4 game in the 6th. Be a day game. Andrew Brown laces one down the left field line, and he's got himself an extra base hit, leading off the home 6th inning. So Brown, who was robbed of a hit on a shoestring catch by Reed Johnson in his first at bat after coming in for the injured Aaron Young, this time has himself a 2-base hit to start the home 6th.
You know, I don't know where he fits in the Mets' plans. It's very difficult to get him in games because of the addition of Eric Young. But Andrew Brown can hit.
You know what he is? He's a terrific right-hand bat off the bench.
Yeah, why
on
not?
A good team. That's what you need, one of those.
Yeah, with some pop.
So after the Braves tied it, now the Mets have the tie-breaking run at second and nobody out for Daniel Murphy. Murphy 1 for 3, blooped a single to left back in the 3rd. And Cameron Lowe misses low and inside, ball 1. Lowe came in to get the final 2 outs in the 5th after the Mets had a scoring threat going against Alex Wood, who is now off the hook. Wood went 4 1/3, allowed 4 runs, 8 hits, 2 walks, 1 intentional, 5 strikeouts. And that one trickles away from Laird, and over to third goes Brown. And that's a throw that Laird shouldn't have made either. He almost threw that down the left field line.
It's a pass ball, right? Let's see what this pitch is. No, they're going to give it a wild pitch because it bounced. But, you know, to me, it's hard for me to say this because I never caught. But that's a lazy play for me. And lazy play should result in a pass ball.
Ronnie, it's a play we've seen more and more of. And we've seen it with Buck. We've seen it with Recker. We saw it there with Laird. You got to get down.
Yeah.
Infield has to come in now with a runner at third and nobody out. 2-0 to Murphy, and he hits one through the hole, and the Mets go back in front. Brown comes in to score. Murphy with the RBI single. It's 5-4 New York.
Gary, the reason that you have to block that baseball is the collateral damage that results if you don't. By not blocking that baseball, Andrew Brown's on third base, the infield's in, and instead of a play that would have been to the right of Simmons, he would have made the play and had an out. He might have had 2 outs with Brown on third. Instead, Mets go ahead. Nice hitting by Murphy. He knows he's going to get a sinker down. Watch this play. This is the play before. You just can't do that at this level. You can do that, but the repercussions are just crazy.
I understand it on a pitch where a pitcher spikes a fastball because you're not expecting it down. But if you call for a breaking ball, you have to be ready to collapse your body and block the ball, right?
You have to be mentally ready to anticipate. It's no different than when you're in the field anticipating the ball hit to you. If you're a catcher, you're anticipating the pitch coming to you. What are the chances that this could be in the dirt? There's a good chance. So I'm ready before it comes to block it. But, you know, we've seen it again. You know, these 12 o'clock games after night games, we see some, and you just mentioned it when we went to Jonas there, the errors in Washington. You see some, some play that's not very good.
Davis hit the ball well all day today. Had a single to left in the first inning, drilled a liner to center that was caught in the third, and then hit one to the warning track in deep right center that was caught in the fourth. And that's pretty much the way this homestand has gone for David. He has had some extremely hard outs in both these series against the Phillies and the Braves. Murphy at first and nobody out. And right fouls one at the plate. 1-2. Well, the Mets trailed 1-0, led 4-1. The Braves with a couple of home runs come back to tie it. And it took the Mets all of 4 pitches to regain the lead. First pitch double by Brown. Wild pitch. Murphy base hit. 5-4 New York. Mets have now out hit the Braves 10-4 today. And right hits one in the air to deep left center field. Back goes Johnson to the warning track, and it's off the warning track up against the wall. Did they call that a ground rule double? I don't think they did. Wright is digging for third, and he's in standing as Murphy comes home to score. Johnson was claiming ground rule double. I'm not sure if that ball hit the fence or over the fence, and Freddie Gonzalez is going to argue that it did bounce over the wall and that Murphy should go back to third.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Are they going to go and review this to see if it hit over the wall?
I don't think they can they?
I don't think so.
It did hit over the wall, and Freddie is right. It should be a ground rule double, but they did not call it that way, and they are not, as far as I'm aware, allowed to go to a replay on a ground rule double.
They can't go to replay, but they could get all the umpires together and meet.
And see whether somebody saw something different.
The problem by the veteran Reed Johnson is you got to play that ball and then let him know later.
Well, Reed was right. The ball did bounce over the fence and hit the railing and should have been ruled a ground rule double. The third base umpire, Chad Fairchild, made the call. Now the home plate umpire and crew chief, Jeff Kellogg, involved in the discussion with Freddie Gonzalez along with Fairchild.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with the umpires getting together, and if they decide that it hit over the wall, to change the play to second and third.
Well, here it is at full speed.
You know, from up here, I thought the ball hit and short hopped the wall, but it did not. Bounced off the railing, which has played such a big part in this series.
Well, the umpires do not appear ready to conference. Now, the guy who would have a look at it other than Fairchild would be the second base umpire, Paul Schreiber. Freddie's been ejected from the game.
Well, what gets you thrown out of that ball game is Freddie's saying that not one of you umpires bothered to run out on that play to get a little better look at it, and that's what his argument is.
Well, now the second base umpire is in the infield on that play. So the only guy who has a chance to run out there is the third base umpire, Fairchild, who did. And I'm sure Freddie is now telling Fairchild that the replay indicated that it bounced over the wall.
Yeah, because they have the TVs right down the runway. You know, remember a play a few seasons ago, Angel Pagan hit a ball to left center that Shane Victorino raised his hands and the ball was wedged under the matting. Well, they did not call it a play. Victorino let Angel Pagan run around the bases, and it was an inside the park home run. So as an outfielder, I'm just saying play the baseball and worry about the repercussions later. If he plays this in, Murphy might not score.
Well, you know, the giveaway for the umpire should be how hard that ball came off. If they didn't see it, if it hits the padding, it's not going to rebound quite as far. But in any event, the Mets get a break Wright gets credit for a triple, his 6th triple of the year, and his 49th RBI. Murphy scores the 2nd run of the inning, and the Mets have a 2-run lead. Still nobody out, and the infield comes in for Marlon Byrd. And Byrd swings and misses at a sinker from low, 0-1. Marlon is 2 for 3 today, singled home a run in the 3rd, and had a base hit to right in the 5th.
Infield's in. 2-run lead by the Mets. Braves can't afford to give up any more.
And Marlon with an ugly swing at that sinker, 0-2. Bird facing Cameron Lowe, his one-time Texas teammate. And Marlon goes down on 3 sinkers. That's the first out of the inning.
Well, Marlon likes the ball down in the strike zone. That's where Lowe starts his pitches, but they're down there. They're going to have a lot of sink on it. Avoids the bat of Byrd as David Archma up in the bullpen.
Zach Wheeler at 95 pitches through 6 innings. So Byrd unable to get right home from 3rd. Josh Satt will take a crack at it with 1 out as the infield will stay in. Carlos Tosca, the bench coach for Freddie Gonzalez, now running the team.
Manager in the major leagues in Toronto for a couple of seasons.
And Satin lays off, ball 1. Josh 1 for 2 and a walk today. Mets have scored twice here in the 6th inning. Andrew Brown led off with a double. Murphy singled him in, and then Wright with a controversial triple to drive in Murphy, and Freddie Gonzalez got ejected, correctly arguing the call. And Satin takes inside. Lowe falls behind 2-0 with Justin Turner on deck.
Tosca at the helm of the Braves. Terry Collins trying to push the right buttons in his 1300th game as a manager.
And they're going to now intentionally walk Satin after falling behind 2-0. This will be the 3rd intentional walk issued by the Braves, and watch out for Lowe, who threw one to the backstop the last time he intentionally walked the batter. he's goosing it. Gotta feel bad for him. It's like watching Mackey Sasser throw the ball back to the mound.
Well, what he's lucky about is that the first pitch today before the game, he's working from that, so that was about as bad as it gets.
So now Turner with an RBI chance. Justin's driven 1 home today. He hit the line drive in the 5th inning that went somehow through Freddie Freeman for an error and set the Mets up. They were unable to cash in that inning. Now with 2 runs home here in the 6th, Turner bats with 1st and 3rd and 1 out. And lays off the sinker, ball 1.
A lot of responsibilities here. Turner, Bucks on deck to get this run in somehow, some way. David to make sure if the ball's in the air to tag up. But even more importantly, Satin's got to get a great secondary lead. If there's a ground ball, he's got to disrupt the double play.
Grounded, foul ball.
Just keeps pounding that sinker in. David with a late break here, he would have been in no man's land.
Well, if you're the runner at 3rd in that situation, you want them to make the play on you. You don't want them to turn a double play.
Although that's not going to be can't be a double play there. Not hit hard enough.
Turner fouls off the sinker, and it's 1-2. Mets have had tons of scoring opportunities today. They're 3 for 13 with runners in scoring position. Mets have left 8 runners on base over the first 5 innings.
11 hits, 4 walks, a couple of errors or an error. Yeah, 2 errors by the Braves.
How often do you get 3 intentional walks inside of 6 innings? Maybe more to come. Here's the 1-2 to Turner, and he lays off. 2-2. Lowe really a one-trick pony, isn't he?
He's got a little bit of a slider he throws, but you know his intent here He's got to get a ground ball to get out of this inning.
He's already given up 3 hits and 2 runs in the inning. 2-2 now to Turner. And Justin bounces one foul. Turner getting the start at shortstop today. Omar Quintanilla had started 34 straight games at shortstop and played all but, I think it was 2 innings in that span. So he really needed a spell, and Turner giving that to him today. Question is, when does Ruben Tejada return? How much does he have to show? Comes up and hits Turner in the batter's box. I mean, Turner has really, Tejada has really turned it on in Las Vegas over the last couple of weeks. The numbers are good, the reports are good. The question is, do the Mets want to make that move? Do they want to platoon at shortstop with Tejada and Quintanilla? There's a lot of questions to be answered, including the fact that last year when Tejada came back from injury, the Mets had to designate Quintanilla for assignment and lost him on waivers to the Orioles, and they don't want to lose him again.
Yeah.
So all of that has to be figured out. You have to figure at some point Ruben's going to get another chance. He's 23 years old. And a bad half season, I don't think is going to cost him forever. 2-2, and Turner goes down swinging. There's a big second out for Cameron Lowe. So he fanned Bird, and now he strikes out Turner.
It's that same sinker. Elevated just enough. Foul tipped, but caught by Laird.
So with 2 outs, it's left to John Buck, who had a big 2-out hit in the 3rd inning. Grounded one through the hole at shortstop to drive in 2. Zach Wheeler, 95 pitches deep in his afternoon. Is he done?
I would think he's done, yes.
Buck drives one down the left field line. That's a base hit going to the wall. Wright is in to score. Satin digging for third. He'll be held there. John Buck with another big 2-out hit. He drives in his 3rd run of the day, and it's 7-4 New York. Again, Buck jumping on the first pitch as he did back in the 3rd inning and drilling a double.
3 at-bats in a row, swinging first pitch. Lowe does not locate the pitch well enough, and Buck makes him pay. Wright scores easy, of course. And Satin with some hustle. Cutting that bag. And 2nd and 3rd here now with 2 outs.
Well, twice in a row they have intentionally walked Juan Lagares. They won't this time because Ike Davis is on deck to pinch hit. So Lagares bats with 2 in scoring position and takes a slider outside and almost handcuffed Gerald Laird. And there's Ike waiting to pinch hit if Lagares can keep the inning going. Well, the Mets batted around in the 3rd inning. Lagares the 8th man up in this inning. And he takes that one out of the strike zone. 2-0.
Braves are a funny team, aren't they? If you were in a vacuum and you saw yesterday's ball game as Archman gets ready, you'd say to yourself, the pitching, the home run hitting, what a machine. And watching him today, just a sloppy game by the Braves.
Lagares reaches for it. It's a tapper. If it stays fair, it's trouble, and it goes right to the bag and then barely foul. That came within an inch of hitting the 3rd base bag for what would have been a hit and another run, and just veered off.
Good play by Johnson. There's nothing else he could do. On the line, part of the line. I mean, an inch, 2 inches.
Well, the Braves fortunate there. I think Lagares got a little anxious swinging at a 2-0 pitch out of the strike zone. Now back at the plate with a 2-1 count, and he takes a strike. A base hit here could break the game open for New York. 2-2 from Lowe to Lagares, and he bounces one foul. New York native Anthony Varvaro up in the bullpen. Carlos Tosca managing the Braves after Freddie Gonzalez was ejected earlier in this inning. Lagares hits another topper foul. So trying to elevate that sinker.
Well, the 2-1 pitch is the one he needed to swing at. He got a fastball right down the middle. I don't know if he was angry that he swung at a pitch out of the strike zone 2-0 and wanted to make sure he got a strike. Well, he did. Hoping for one more.
30th pitch of the inning from Lowe. And Lagares tops another one toward third. In comes Johnson. The quick throw. Got him at first. Side retired. Nice play by Johnson. That saved a run for Atlanta. But the Mets score 3 against Cameron Lowe in the 6th to regain the lead. Andrew Brown got it started with a double. Murphy drove him in. Wright's triple got Murphy home. And then John Buck's double drives in the 3rd run of the inning. And the Mets lead at 7-4. With the final SNY Play Bowl Award presented by New York Community Bank. Just pick one of the 3 finalists listed, and the league that gets the most votes wins the $5,000 grant. To vote, visit Facebook and like SNY today. Zach Wheeler done after 6 innings. Gave up 3 earned runs on 4 hits, couple of home runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 95 pitches, and gives way to David Artsma for the 7th.
Well, Artsma came over here with a chance to pitch, and he's now become the 7th inning man for Terry Collins.
Gerald Laird will lead off. Jose Constanza has come out on deck to bat for the pitcher Lowe. And then Andrelton Simmons in the 7th for Atlanta. And Laird takes it high for ball 1.
Interesting game for Wheeler. 3 perfect innings, 1, 2, 3, and 3 others.
Well, he gave up an unearned run in the 1st inning on a strikeout wild pitch error. And Reed Johnson scored from second base. Yeah. Then he retired 7 in a row. Then after being given a 3-run lead, he gave up the 2-run homer to Ugla, and later the solo homer to Freeman that tied the game. But the Mets got him the lead back and a chance for another win. Wins and losses can be capricious.
That's right.
And they're not always indicative of how well a pitcher pitches. But I would think for a young pitcher, sometimes they can be the carrot.
They can reward hard work, I think, is what can happen. And it can give you less doubt let's say it was on the other side. Zach had pitched exactly the way he's pitched, and he was 1-4. It would produce, you know, a lot of talk, a lot of print about is he ready. Instead, 4-1 can sometimes be a smokescreen while you get your stuff together.
And it's not like he's pitched poorly. He's just been inconsistent. He comes out of his 7th start with an ERA now of 3.72 for the season. 3-2 to Laird, and he fouls off the fastball. Laird playing for the first time in this series. He had a finger hurt in the series against the White Sox over the weekend and was unavailable for a day or two.
Can't walk anyone here. Let him hit it. Guess I should explain that more. It's 3-2. You're winning by 3 runs. You've got a big ballpark. The chances he hits the ball to the ballpark, they're on your side. Outside part of the plate, make him hit it to Lagares and let him run.
Laird has hit 1 home run this season. Always known more for his defense than his offense. And he takes it high, ball 4. So Arzma does what he did not want to do. Well, tomorrow the Mets are playing a day-night doubleheader in D.C. First game of the doubleheader will be on SNY tomorrow with Henry Mejia on the mound against Jordan Zimmerman. Our coverage begins tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And for more on the Nats, let's go to Kevin, whose report is brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. Kev?
A Nationals insider told me the clubhouse has been downtrodden, frustrated, rightfully so. The Nationals have played bad baseball. Their 6-game losing streak now, even though they're winning today, although the Pirates just hit a 2-run home run off Gio Gonzalez. They've got a -31 run differential. Generally, though, the last month or so, they've gotten pretty good pitching, but they are not hitting, especially situationally. Runners in scoring position, 7th worst in Major League Baseball at a .235 clip. They're absolutely horrendous against left-handed pitching. Of course, the Mets don't have to offer that this weekend in D.C. And I think the Mets' game plan going into this series, guys, run when you get on base, because Nationals catchers, we're talking Wilson Ramos and Kurt Suzuki, have thrown out 9 of 73 attempting to steal. Granted, that's not all on the catchers, but that is a horrific number.
Well, to me, the stunning part about the Nats is their inability to score. They've lost 6 games in a row, scored 13 runs in the 6 games, and it's not as though that's a new phenomenon. It's been going on all year with an offense that looks like it's built to excel. The only guy who's swinging the bat well at all right now is Jason Worth, who's hit a bunch of home runs the last week. But the rest of that team just can't put anything together, which I don't know about you, Ronnie, but I'm just befuddled by it, and I'm sure that Davey Johnson is too.
You know, Gav, there's another
fouls are back 1-2. Sorry, Kevin.
So my bad there. You know, there's another thing developing with the Nationals too. While Strasburg pitched great last night, Gonzalez and Jordan Zimmerman have been pretty good. They have some issues at the back end of that staff now. Ross Detweiler has a disc issue. He's had at least another month. That's a big deal. And then outside of that, the guy the Mets are going to see on Sunday, you're talking about Taylor Jordan. He started in single A. Davey Johnson said the other day he's only got like another 20 to 30 innings left. So got to find some pitchers for the back end of that rotation.
Ground ball back to Arzma. Out at second. Turner's relay is thrown away.
Constanza with great speed getting down the line. They weren't going to get him anyway. And he's safe on the fielder's choice.
Well, everything done right here. Arzma gets rid of the ball quick and accurately. Turner just spikes it in the ground, throws it wild of Satin. Look, Satin looked like he got hit by Constanza as he ran by, and he's got great speed.
So a rough day for Josh. He got hit in the face by a deflection back in the first inning.
Middle linebackers have less contact than Satin's had today.
Dan Worthen out to visit Arzma before he pitches to Andrelton Simmons. And a rather beleaguered Josh Satin will join the conversation. Scott Rice up in the Mets bullpen with an eye toward Freddie Freeman. Of course, the Braves are also fortified on the bench today from the left side. They've got Jason Hayward and Brian McCann sitting in the dugout, both getting the day off today.
Kevin, one question. What was that run differential you had for Washington?
-31.
-31. Coming into this ball game?
Yep, Mets were
same exact
-30,
as the
right?
Mets. Same as the Mets.
There you go. you ever think you'd be saying that? I mean, the National is just amazing. Everyone keeps waiting for them to turn around, but at some point you got to show some evidence of it.
Well, there are the more recent numbers on the right. Nats aren't hitting. They're not pitching quite as well. And as a consequence, they've fallen 5 games under 500.
It sounds like from Kevin's report some finger pointing.
Andrelton Simmons fouls one away. Well, about the only piece of good news for the Nats is they're going to get one of their good relief pitchers back from the DL tomorrow. Ryan Matthews, who foolishly punched his locker and broke his hand earlier this season, is ready to return. Amazing how often that happens.
Silly. That makes no sense to me. It's like the throwing of a helmet. What did the helmet do?
Well, at least throwing the helmet can't hurt you unless it bounces up.
Yeah, it can hurt one of your teammates, though.
Satin tracking it, but that's back in the crowd. 0-2 to Simmons, who's gone 0 for 3 today.
You know, Gary, with that move, there's been some rumblings in D.C. Who's the guy that the roster spot that Matthews is going to take? Some feel Drew Storen might be going to the minor leagues. Drew has had a very difficult season. He's got an ERA at somewhere near 5.5 right now. Another rough night last night.
Well, you know, it all goes back to the postseason last year.
Postseason hangover. That's what it is.
Ardsma ahead 0-2 as Simmons steps out. By the way, in that game in D.C. today, that 2-run homer, Josh Harrison, his first of the year, a 2-run shot off Gio to get the Pirates within a run.
He's their like their extra infielder,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He's been up and down in the minors. He's John Shelby's nephew.
Oh, okay. He can hit.
Constanza at first and 1 out, and Simmons lays off the slider. 1-2.
Ardsma watching him pitch this afternoon, and we talked a little bit about this with LaTroy and Atchison and Ardsma. It looks like he's laboring a little bit today. Nothing that a ground ball couldn't cure.
Wheeler got the ground ball double play he needed in the last inning from Chris Johnson. That was the last batter he faced. Talking with Henry Mejia, who gets the start tomorrow afternoon in Washington. 1-2 to Simmons, and he bounces that slider. Good stop by Buck. 2-2. Haven't seen Ardsma use his splitter as much the last few weeks.
I think there's two things involved there. Really, he's been put into games against many right-handed hitters, which sometimes takes that pitch away. And secondly, he likes his slider.
I'll throw the splitter now. And it's popped up. Satin takes charge into foul ground. 2 out.
Simmons almost ran into Satin, by the way.
Well, it's the batter runner's responsibility to avoid the fielder.
But sometimes what they'll do is they'll run right next to you to try to disturb you so you don't make the play. It never works. But watch Simmons. He doesn't give any inch. Almost leaned in a little bit, didn't he?
At least he didn't say ha.
That's right. In Toronto, right?
These days, that's way down on A-Rod's list of foibles.
We wish that was the only problem.
Here's Reed Johnson, 1 for 3 on the day. Doubled and scored back in the first. I mean, remember when A-Rod's problems were running across the mound or looking at himself in the mirror?
Having a picture taken in Central Park.
That kind of thing.
A simple thing.
Right. He pines for those simpler days. Constanza at first with 2 out. And Reed Johnson hits one in the air deep down the left field line. That one's hooking and goes foul. A very long shot off the bat of Reed Johnson, not known for his power.
Well, off the bat, I didn't think that ball was going to travel as far as it did. Looked 10 rows back.
Johnson getting the start in center field today, giving Hayward the day off. And Arnsman threw a fastball by him, 1-2. It's the best fastball he's thrown.
Yeah, 92 miles an hour. You talked a lot, Gary, about when he was in Seattle, 94, sometimes 95. He's been inching closer since being with the Mets.
Just have to be careful you don't overuse him. That's the danger with a guy like Arnsman, who's just back to hitting his stride a couple of years after elbow and hip surgery. Got him. There's the splitter to strike out Reed Johnson. And Arnsman finishes the inning with a flourish. Works around the leadoff walk. That takes us to the 7th inning stretch with the Mets up 3.
Baseball's #1 mascot, Mr. Met, and singing.
Mets put together a 4-run 3rd inning and a 3-run 6th inning. So there have been plenty of hands on deck for the Mets offensively today. David Wright got a triple he didn't deserve, but you know what? He's done so much good work. He should get a bonus every now and again.
Yeah, exactly. I think you like it because it's sponsored by Audi. But Varvaro has been very good this season. See his numbers. He has had a couple of save opportunities, not in the 9th, earlier in the game.
Varvaro out of Curtis High School and St. John's University. New Yorker all the way. Kirk Neuenhuis pinch hitting as the Mets bat in the bottom of the 7th. Neuenhuis played center field last night, went 0 for 2. He's 0 for his last 12, which has knocked his batting average down below 200. And Varvaro misses high, 2-0.
No matter what Neuenhuis does here, you'd have to think that with Andrew Brown on deck, he might go into left field for the 8th and 9th inning.
It's been 5 days since Varvaro's been in the game. And he throws a fastball for a strike, 2-1. In fact, he's only pitched once in the last 11 days because of the All-Star break. It's awfully hard for a relief pitcher to stay sharp when you have that many days off. And he falls behind Neuenhuis 3-1 with Andrew Brown on deck, and then Daniel Murphy. And Neuenhuis knocks Laird over backwards. Tough life as a catcher.
Foul tip. Boy, right off the forehead. Forehead of the mask.
Staggered.
There's one of those guys that wears kind of the old time mask, the helmet mask, not the hockey mask.
So Troy Hawkins getting ready to pitch the 8th inning for New York. Three and 2 to Neuenhuis, and Kirk bounces one toward first. Freeman is right there, one away. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by the New York Lottery, by the Volkswagen Sign Then Drive event, where you can drive away for practically just your signature, and by Astoria Federal Savings. Andrew Brown came off the bench in the 4th inning today when Eric Young had some pain in his knee while running the bases. Brown delivered a double to start the 3-run 6th inning for the Mets, scored the go-ahead run in this game. And he takes a curveball for a strike from Varvaro. Cameron Lowe in relief when an inning and 2/3 allowed 3 runs and 4 hits, 2 intentional walks, 2 strikeouts, and a wild pitch. That's a complete line for 5 outs. What do they call them in basketball? The stat sheet filler?
Yeah, right.
Watch how you say that.
That could be a bad thing, right?
Depends on which parts of the stat sheet you're filling. Fouls, turnovers.
And I played basketball since I was a kid, and I mean, it was my favorite sport for a long time, and I was like the black hole. If you gave me the ball, it was going up, you know. And then they changed it. I got to high school, and they made the 4 corners offense became the most popular way to play offense. Scores of 19 to 16.
Pre-shot clock.
I said, I need 20, 25 shots. I can't be playing this game.
See, I only had one line in the stat sheet that I could fill.
Yeah.
I could get the rebound.
Oh, you were the rebound guy.
I can't score.
Hard to believe you're tenacious.
A couple of well-placed elbows never hurt.
Exactly.
As long as the guys in the stripes are looking the other way. 2-2 to Brown, and that misses inside. A full count to Andrew, with Murphy waiting on deck.
Sure, a good-looking bat, isn't it? Andrew Brown, two-toned.
Down to third, and Johnson picks it. 2 out. So Brown is retired. 2 ground ball outs for Varvaro, and Daniel Murphy will bat. Murphy, who had 2 doubles last night, 2 singles today. He's driven in a run and scored 2.
Wasn't it about a week ago that Murph was in the cage and he signaled to Terry Collins? He says, I'm close to being back. Well, he was right. Swinging the bat much better.
6 for 14 over his last 4 games. Drives this one to left center, working away from Reed Johnson. It'll go up the gap and all the way to the wall. And Murphy has his 3rd hit of the day, a 2-out double. His 26th double of the year.
When Murphy's going well, he's not getting base hits to left and left center. He's driving the ball to left and left center, and that's been the difference.
Well, let's take a look at David Wright's day.
Well, he's had a good one. At the bat, gets jammed a little by Wood. Still dumps it in front of Gaddis. Mixes in his 16th stolen base. Then gets a hanging curveball off low, or slider, that becomes a double, that became a triple, and an RBI scoring Murphy.
If David gets anywhere near 100 RBIs this year, that'll be the one gift he will have gotten. David fouls back the first pitch from Varvaro. Let's check in with Kevin.
Talking with David about his stolen base proficiency this year. He's got more steals already this year than he had last when he was 15 of 25 stealing. Not the best percentage. Said, look, I want to be well-rounded. I've always liked to run, but right count, right situation. I think I've been a lot smarter this year, running in better counts, knowing the deal. But there's also times on first base, especially in this park, you have to understand cleanup hitters going well. Double scores me there. So it's just really about being smart. And take into consideration, obviously you've talked about it, Gary. Wright's playing today. I'm sure his neck is sore. That bat snapped around and hit him last night. After the game, was asked, how do you feel? And David said, I feel like I got hit in the neck with a bat. Playing through it today.
Typical. He said, I'll live. And so he has.
Well, I think it's one of the most underrated things about David because, he's such a polite guy. He's such a well-spoken person that I think sometimes we underrate his toughness, his ability to play every single day. You ask everyday players, there's a handful of days they feel 100%. After that, a certain amount of toughness gets you on the field every day.
Curveball from Varvaro for a strike, 2-2. Well, there's a methodical nature to baseball. You play it every day for 6 months. You prepare, you get in a rhythm, and if you're a player like David Wright, you expect to be in the lineup every day. Doesn't really matter what the circumstances are. Pops it up off the fists. Freddie Freeman with an easy play, and that retires the side. A double and one left. We head to the 8th now. LaTroy Hawkins getting set to come in with the Mets leading at 7-4. Troy Hawkins will hit on the number 1 spot in the order.
Well, we're talked about it before. He is the 8th inning man. Maybe not every day. Try not to have him pitch more than 2 days in a row, but he's been outstanding of late.
Interesting, that last number at the bottom, first batter faced. That 316 average is high, no question. Yeah. But look at the right side of that. Only 2 walks. So the on-base percentage not bad against Hawkins against that first batter.
Well, he throws strikes. He's going to go after you. He's a fastball pitcher. But he's mixed in his other pitches. It's his last outing was outstanding 2 days ago.
Justin Upton leads off in the 8th inning. Upton is 0 for 3 today, 1 for 16 in this series. It'll be Upton, then Freddie Freeman, and Evan Gattis, 3, 4, and 5 in the Braves batting order. And keep in mind they've got the 2 bullets in the dugout with Hayward and McCann. And a fastball strike to Upton. David Carpenter back up in the Braves bullpen. Well, Upton had that fantastic month of April, and what was that?
I think they just gave him a ball, maybe going to his fingers to his mouth on the mound, on the rubber.
Saw the gesture from the home plate umpire Jeff Kellogg. Did not see that happen, though. The scoreboard did not register it.
Yep, it has not. Maybe it was a warning. I don't think there's a warning, is there?
One and one to Upton, and he takes the slider low and away. Justin Upton had the great month of April, but there's something about him right now that just does not look right.
Yeah, whether he's got an injury he's trying to play through. Now remember, calf, I want to say, here at running down the first baseline, and maybe he's nursing that right now, but that was just recently.
Over the mound, but there's Murphy behind the bag, and he throws out Upton easily. One away. Now Freddie Freeman. Mets have not gotten him out yet today. A walk, a single, and a long home run to center field that tied the game in the 6th inning, his 11th of the year. Mets then regained the lead in the bottom of that 6th inning and have held it since. David Ardsma worked a hitless 7th. Now Hawkins in the 8th. 1 out and nobody on. And Freeman takes up an away ball 1.
Well, that's that home run in the 6th inning. Off Wheeler. Fastball down the middle, down, his strength. Brian McCann excited. A long home run here.
High fastball. 1-1.
We were mentioning it the other day that Hawkins has faced Freeman 3 times. He struck him out each and every time, and it's been with that high fastball.
Well, that Monday night game, it was 2 out, and Hawkins was working through the 8th inning, and Mets had a lefty ready in the bullpen, and Terry Collins stayed with Hawkins against Freeman. And asked about it afterward, Terry said, "Hey, I like the matchup. Hawkins seems to have Freeman's number, even though it was only a small sample size, and sure enough, he struck him out." Off-speed pitch misses. 3-1.
See him rubbing up those seams. That's a veteran move. Kind of push those seams together. It makes it feel as though you have a better grip.
So you're trying to get the seams higher?
Higher, yeah. You're trying to punch around them so that they bunch together and they feel a little higher, more control.
Now, can you actually do that, or are you just trying to fool yourself into thinking you can do it?
It's more fooling yourself into doing it. You'd have to manipulate that ball for more than the 5 or 10 seconds that you do it, but it just feels like that you have a better grip after you go through those machinations.
Three-2 from Hawkins to Freeman. Fouled it back. Evan Gattis waits on deck. "40-year-old LaTroy Hawkins pitching for his 10th major league team. Still getting it done in the late innings. Again, the 3-2. Drilled to deep right field. Back goes Bird.
on the warning track to make the catch. 2 out. Now Freeman's retired for the first time today with a little juice behind it. Well, we mentioned LaTroy's been with 10 different teams. This is a man that knows what a major league clubhouse is like. Talked earlier about how important team chemistry can be.
Some teams have won where they didn't like each other, but I think it works well when you do get along with your teammates. You know, you guys have a lot of the same interests, you guys, and that's winning. And when you can get along in a clubhouse, that's a bonus. Having such a young team where a guy's still, you know, young enough to be impressionable, I think it's like the perfect situation because we can show them how to be a professional, how to go about doing your job every day, how to, you know, pick yourself up when, you know, some days, you know, you go to a job, you don't feel good. Yeah. But, you know, talking to them and showing them there's a way to get through it. And just little things like that plays a huge part in a young guy's development.
Well, his worth on the field has been outstanding. He's a stabilized back end of that bullpen, but his worth in that clubhouse might be more.
Murphy squeezes the pop-up off the bat of Gaddis. Hawkins has himself a 1-2-3 inning, and the Mets have a 7-4 lead in the 8th. Bottom of the 8th for the Braves.
That looked like the Bull Luzinski running there in those old uniforms, right?
SNY Super Slow Motion brought to you by Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealer. Speaking of Konerko, visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. The slow motion ejection.
I haven't seen that all year. Outstanding.
That's a nice form by Chad Fairchild.
Not outstanding for Freddie, but
ran Freddie Gonzalez in the 6th inning when Freddie rightly challenged the non-ground rule double call on David Wright's ball that ended up being a triple. Marlon Byrd leads off in the home 8th inning against Carpenter and takes a slider for a strike. Byrd is 2 for 4 today. Single to left, single to right. He's driven one in. He scored one. Mets going for the split of the 4-game series and going for the winning homestand. If they win today, they will have completed a 4-3 homestand with an 8-game road trip starting tomorrow afternoon in D.C.
Back to their strength on the road, right?
Mets are a game over 500 on the road. If they win today, they'll be 9 under at home. But you know, they're going to be playing a Washington team that has had trouble getting out of their own way, and then a Miami team that they owe a little to, because the Marlins have really had the Mets number this year, particularly in Miami. Henry Mejia gets the call tomorrow afternoon for his first start of the season.
Excited. I never honestly get to go to Miami. That's usually Keith's.
Oh, you're in Miami?
I am.
That's Keith territory.
I know. I don't know what happened.
So have you been in the new stadium?
I've been, yeah, once. We did I think a 3-man booth for something, yeah.
Maybe, well, no. I was going to say maybe we'll see it open, because we haven't seen it open yet.
Not yet.
Not, at least not for a game. We've seen it open during batting practice.
It's a day game on Thursday, right?
Right. But I mean, it's a little too steamy this time of year in Miami to wish for it open. And the other thing is, unless it was broken sometime in the last month, which it probably wasn't because it's been so hot, the Marlins haven't won this year when the roof's been open. I think they're like 0-14, something like that.
Well, that's why it continues to stay closed.
Now, last year I think they only had it open for like 8 or 10 games the whole year. This year they've had it open a little more often. Grounded to the left side. Johnson with a diving stop, but he can't make the transfer, and Bird has another hit. Third hit of the day for Marlon Bird, despite the nice effort by Johnson.
Well, he plays on the line, so a long way to go. Nice job to get there, but he knows Bird's got some speed, so he's got to quicken it up a bit, and not able to make that play.
Well, we saw it, was it 2 nights ago when he made the play going down the line and got the force at second? He's pretty good going down. He's not so good getting up.
It's a big guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So now Josh Satin, who's been on base 3 times, a single and 2 walks, the last one intentional. Bird at first and nobody out. The Mets now have 14 hits to 4 for the Braves, but the Braves have hit a couple of home runs. Most hits the Mets have had since July the 5th in Milwaukee. That was the game Kirk Neuenhuis went 4 for 4.
On base 6 times, right?
Yeah. Satin tries to lay off. It's a strike. 0-2. For the Braves, their rookie left-hander Alex Wood went 4 1/3. He allowed 4 runs and 8 hits. Braves got him off the hook. Cameron Lowe, though, gave up 3 runs in the 6th inning, and he is the pitcher of record on the short side. Zach Wheeler stands to get his 4th win against 1 loss if the Mets can hold this lead. Now Carpenter ahead 0-2, and Satin lays off the slider 1-2. The Mets also today, if they can win, would even up the season series with the Braves at 7 apiece. Which means, I guess, the Mets only have 1 more series left with the lineup. Satin drives one toward the right field line, but foul. Ooh, the guy in the orange shirt took a tumble going after that ball. Got to be careful out there, guys. Bobby Parnell waiting for a chance for a save. A chance that will disappear if the Mets score another run.
How does it work tomorrow, the doubleheader? The Mets will have an extra player. Will they do that for the doubleheader?
Henry Mejia will be the extra player.
Okay, got it.
It's a relatively new rule in baseball that you can bring up an extra player when you have a doubleheader. Henry is on the major league disabled list, has been all year. Elbow inflammation, which shut him down for the first couple of months. He's been working his way back, most recently in Double-A, and pitching very well and earning the start tomorrow. 2-2, and Satin takes strike 3 called, and he knew it. That's the first out of the inning. 8 strikeouts for Atlanta pitching today.
Luckily Keith's not here. That's that 2-strike fastball down the middle where he slams his fist and goes to the phone.
By the way, we showed that Torrey Hunter miscue a moment ago. He just pulled a Freddie Freeman. He had a 2-run homer.
See, I'm telling you.
Redemption.
Yes.
What Murph used to say, baseball is a game of redeeming features.
Yes. Well.
So there you go. Justin Turner fouls it back. So the Tigers have tied up the White Sox 2-2. Jake Peavy is pitching that game for the White Sox, by the way, and he is very much for sale. So it could be his last start for the Southsiders.
He's got to have does he have a 10-5 over there?
Has he been there that long?
I don't know if he's got 5 years in there,
so.
no. But he probably has a no trade kind of clause in his contract, or at least some teams that he doesn't.
Right, partial no trade.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like
Soriano.
Soriano, where did he turn out a trade to? Was it last year or the year before? He turned down a chance to get into a pennant race. And, you know, there have been rumors about the Yankees trying to get Soriano back. Probably wouldn't turn that down.
Well, he'd go right to the top of the list for as far as home runs. What does Soriano have? 17, I think? I mean, he could use some power.
Yankees start the day 7 games behind the Red Sox. 3.5 out on the wild card. Still trying to patch it together. 2-1 to Turner, and it's outside, and Carpenter falls behind 3-1 with John Buck, who's had a productive afternoon, waiting on deck.
Tampa Bay got another great pitching performance from David Price last night. That Joe Madden was quoted as saying he's throwing at another level higher than his Cy Young Award year. That's a little scary for the American League.
Well, he spent some time on the disabled list with a triceps problem. Complete game 5-hitter last night. That's ball 4, and Turner's on. So the Mets have 2 aboard, and John Buck coming up with a chance to do some more damage. Buck has driven in 3 runs today, a 2-run single in the 3rd and a run-scoring double in the 6th. 52 RBIs now for Buck, putting him 5 behind Marlon Byrd for the club lead.
He swung at the first pitch in the 4th, first pitch in the 5th, the first pitch in the 6th.
That's an interesting graphic right there, because the Mets have been really blessed over the years to have some incredibly productive offensive catchers. I mean, Piazza is the best hitting catcher of all time, but Carter and Hundley and John Stearns in his day, in his own way. I mean, they've had guys who can hit home runs. Yeah. They've had guys who can hit for average.
Stearns who could steal some bases.
Right. And Buck joining that company, 50-plus RBIs. Batting here with 2 aboard and 1 out. And he takes a fastball for a strike, 95 from Carpenter. Byrd at second, Turner at first with 1 out. Juan Lagares waiting on deck. Buck fouls back the fastball, 1-2. This is Peavy's 4th year with the White Sox. You have to be in the majors for 10 years and have your last 5 years with the same team to have the complete no trade.
Power, right?
Well, it is power.
Yep.
It certainly gives you the right to dictate your own deal. 1-2 to Buck. Drives this one down the right field line, but it'll go foul. I'm just wondering what's going to happen with Robin Ventura, whether he's going to be back next year or even survive the end of this year the way things are going.
I think he's going to be back. They had a real solid year last year until the last 2 weeks. Kind of ran out of pitching. I think that, their GM, Kenny Williams, just that team's got to be blown up a little bit and then start over kind of deal.
Well, they're obviously trying to trade Alex Rios. They're trying to trade Jake Peavy.
saw with Konerko in that highlight there, a real older, plodding team that can't run, that can't manufacture runs.
Well, especially when you have Konerko and Dunn in the lineup together.
I think you want to build that team around De Aza, as a good player. I mean, not build a team around, but you would hope Ramirez would get back. Alexi Ramirez would be a better player than he's been this year.
Buck chops one to the shortstop. Simmons gets the out at second. The relay by Ugla, and off the bag came Freeman, and Buck is safe at first. The ball got to first base in time, but Freeman couldn't hold the bag.
Did you see the exchange from Simmons? Unbelievable how quick he got rid of that baseball. I thought there was no chance at a double play, and if Ugla had made a good throw, it would have been a double play.
And by the way, one of the reasons it wasn't a double play, the job that Turner did, disrupting the throw by Ugla at second base. As you see Freeman just barely coming off that bag. But off he was. So the inning continues. 2 out, first and third for Juan Lagares. Lagares 0 for 2. He's been intentionally walked twice today. And that time, Laird got down to the dirt with a runner at third. They've gone to the bottom of the 8th in Washington. Nats 4, Pirates 3. Washington trying to snap a 6-game losing streak before the Mets come to town tomorrow. Lagares fooled on the slider, 1-1.
What's interesting about for you folks at home, when Gary and I travel down to Washington, we'll get to the ballpark tomorrow, and we'll be inundated about what's wrong with the Washington club, from everyone from who's with the ball club, plays on the ball club, fans of the ball club. I think that they all felt, I think top to bottom, that this was their year, and they're trying to, everyone search for answers on why it hasn't been so far.
Kirk Neuenhuis, batting 9th in the order, is on deck. Well, I think it's a chastening year so far for the Nats, without question. And I hate to say this again, but you go back to last year, and the attitude surrounding the Nationals was that this is the first year for us of what will be a long reign of success. We'll have multiple playoff appearances many years in a row. Don't worry, we'll shut down Strasburg this year, but he'll get plenty of chances to pitch in the postseason. Just wait till next year. Lagares has to get out of the way as Carpenter came up and in. Lagares hit by the pitch. Bell must have just grazed him.
Fastball in. Oh, just catches his sleeve. Maybe a tricep. Yeah, you almost felt as though, there you go, just brushes his sleeve, I believe. Almost felt like they were just trying to figure out what avenue to have the parade on. But I think what I'm going to do, I don't know if you, I think I'm going to do some backtracking and do some Thomas Boswell reading, because he seems to have a pulse on what's happening in that town.
You know that life begins on opening day. By the way, for Juan Lagares, that's the first time in his brief major league career that he's been hit by a pitch. Well, since he doesn't generally draw any walks, he's got 2 intentional walks today and now been hit by a pitch. That'll boost the old on base percentage. Lagares had walked only 4 times coming into the game, so now he has 6 walks and 3 of them are intentional. So now the base is loaded for Neuenhuis, who grounded out in his only at bat. And he takes below the knees for ball 1. One thing about baseball, if you display hubris, you generally get bitten in the rear.
Yeah. It's the baseball gods, if there's such a thing.
It is a humbling game at its core. Ike Davis on deck to pinch hit if Neuenhuis can keep the inning going. Bases loaded, 2 out. And Nieuwenhuis swings through the fastball, 1-2. Later tonight, Geico Sports Night at 10:30. The latest on the A-Rod saga. A report from Cortland, and Tom Brady talks about Aaron Hernandez. All on Geico Sports Night tonight at 10:30.
Belichick yesterday and Brady today.
1-2. Nieuwenhuis takes inside. It's been such a struggle for Kirk ever since that big night he had in Milwaukee 3 weeks ago. Just 4 for 33 since then, after a 4 for 4 night. Josh Edgen up alongside Bobby Parnell. Probably see Edgen if the Mets break this game open here in the 8th inning. 2-2, and Nieuwenhuis takes strike 3 called, and the inning is over. So the Mets strand 3 more. That's 14 left on base for the Mets today. Parnell will try and make that point moot as he comes on for the 9th.
See Bobby Parnell's number. It's presented by Caesars Atlantic City. Well, there with the R. That's a lot of decisions, but he's pitched in a lot of tie games this season, more than you usually see for your closer. Extra inning games, you name it.
Dan Uggla will lead off in the 9th inning for Atlanta. Uggla hit a 2-run homer back in the 4th inning off Zach Wheeler, who stands to be the winning pitcher if Parnell can lock it down. Uggla's had a good series with the bat. Came in hitting under 200. But has 5 hits and 12 at bats in this series. Has also been hit by a pitch 3 times, including getting plunked by a Wheeler curveball in the 6th inning today. Chris Johnson on deck, and then Gerald Laird for the Braves. As Uggla swings and misses, 0-2. Keep in mind as we move through this 9th inning, Freddie Gonzalez, well, actually Carlos Tosca now that Freddie's been ejected, has Jason Hayward and Brian McCann available as pinch hitters. 0-2 from Parnell, and he gets him with a curveball. Uggla is struck out, 1 away.
You know, Parnell has gone from combustible to methodical in the way he goes after hitters. 2 fastballs by Uggla and a knuckle curve in the dirt.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Chris Johnson, who's 0 for 2 and a walk. Parnell working for the 3rd time in this series. Took the loss on Monday night. Got the save Tuesday night. And this is low and away to Johnson, 1-0. Well, Gerald Laird is on deck. So if the Braves are going to use those left-handed aces in the hole, it's not going to be for Laird. 1-1 to Chris Johnson.
Maybe it's not going to be used unless they get some people on base.
Well, I don't know if Johnson makes the 2nd out. I don't know how you can not use Hayward and McCann as your next 2 hitters.
Well, I think if you're putting them up, Gary, wouldn't you think you'd use Hayward first and then McCann, as far as McCann with more power?
I mean, what you'd love if you're Tosca in this case is to wait till you get a couple of men on to set McCann up there, but you might run out of outs before you get there, and you'd hate to leave those aces in the dugout.
Got the book open, or at least the pamphlet.
One, 2 to Chris Johnson. Line, base hit into right center. So the Braves have a runner aboard. They need one more base runner to get the tying run to the plate in the 9th. And Laird will come to bat. So to me, I think you have to send up Hayward here and then hope that he gets on, and then you get McCann up as the tying run. But they're going to wait and have Hayward bat for the pitcher on deck.
Trying to think. He certainly can't have any numbers against Parnell. He hasn't faced him enough.
Laird is 0 for 2 and a walk today. And the other thing about Laird, of course, he hits a ground ball here. He's very much a double play candidate.
Here's the defense. Of course, double play, depth up the middle. 1 for 3. Laird against Parnell.
And a fastball strike on the inside. Nice pitch by Bobby. 1-1. Well, the Met bullpen has been terrific again today. David Ardsma hitless 7th. LaTroy Hawkins a 1-2-3/8. And now Parnell trying to work his way through the 9th. 1-1 to Laird. And the curveball in the dirt. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, Laird is a flat out high fastball hitter. So anything down, especially away, should produce that ground ball that you want.
On 2-1, Laird takes a strike, and it's 2-2.
Gutsy pitch there by Parnell, wasn't it? 2-1 breaking ball for a strike. But that's how his control has gotten so much better with that secondary pitch.
Well, he's learned how to throw it for a strike or throw it in the dirt. Nice combination. Now he's got Laird 2-2. Just got a piece of it off the foot of Buck. Sends him limping.
Down and in, foul tipped. And you got it right off the instep of that left foot.
You got the ricochet off the right calf.
Catchers are tough, I'll tell you.
Satin playing behind Johnson. That's with a 3-run lead in the 9th. 2-2 off the corner, and a full count to Laird. Well, this is a spot where even if you have to throw the ball right down the middle, you cannot walk Gerald Laird.
Agreed. And runner on first, Johnson will not be running. So double play still in order. So you can get him to hit it on the ground.
Hayward on deck to pinch hit. McCann ready behind him. 3-2 from Parnell to Laird. And he reaches for it and pokes it just foul. Sutton got the glove on it to knock it down, but it was a foul ball.
It's interesting to me that late in games that Satin stays in the games and Davis stays on the bench.
I mean, Ike was on deck to pinch hit. It certainly would have made all the sense in the world to bring him in with Parnell. Again, the 3-2 to Laird. Grounded down to right. Off his chest. Has time to get the out at first. In time. There's a big second out. David couldn't play it cleanly, but kept the ball in front of him.
But I'll tell you, this is a big league play. You know why? Because he stays in front of it. He's trying to make the play to make two, but by staying in front of it, he gets the most valuable out at first base. You know, we always think that the play has to be magnificent and spectacular to be a good play. That was just fundamentally played the right way. Keep it in front of you, gives you a chance to get an out.
So now the Braves are down to their final out, and Jason Hayward will be the pinch hitter. Hayward, who started the first 3 games of the series, went 1 for 9. 2 out with a runner at second. And Hayward swings and misses at a fastball, 0-1.
This last inning, Buck's taking a beating.
Hayward 2 for 7 against Parnell. Johnson at second and 2 out. And the curveball in for a strike. And now the Braves are down to their final strike.
It's as good as it gets. Tight. Great spin. Low in the strike zone.
Oh, 2. Popped up. Foul one out of play. Not for Jason Hayward. Mets would be going for 3 out of 4. Now 1 strike away from getting a split of this 4-game series. Just missed. A changeup from Bobby.
Yes, that split finger changeup that he rarely uses.
th pitch of the inning. 1-2 to Hayward. Fouled away. 97 from Bobby. Andrelton Simmons would be next if Hayward can keep the Braves alive.
He got the call on the low breaking ball. If he can bounce one here, he'd have to think that Hayward would have to swing.
Fly ball right field. Marlon Byrd right there waiting for it. Doesn't have to move an inch, and the ball game is over. Bobby Parnell comes on to get the save. Big day at the plate for John Buck. Zach Wheeler gets his 4th victory in 5 decisions, and the Mets earn a split of the 4-game series with the Braves as they win it 7-4.
Split of the 4-game series, but more importantly, in Citi Field, where they haven't played well for most of the season, a 4-3 record in 7 games. So good going for Terry Collins' club.
Game summary presented by Extended Stay America. Wheeler now 4-1 with a 3.72 ERA through his first 7 big league starts. Parnell earns his 20th save. Buck had the big day with 3 runs batted in as the Mets scored 3 runs in the 6th inning off Cameron Lowe after the Braves had rallied to tie. For every Mets win, the Mets Foundation is proud to contribute $2,500 to the Cats Women's Hospital and the Cats Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northshorelij.com/KIWH. This win brings the total contribution so far this season to $112,500. The victorious Mets finish off the homestand with a 7-4 win over the Braves and now head to D.C. More coming up from Citi Field in just a moment.